As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome. Crunch Time Sports. Jeff Booner, Lukas Gentry. It is Wednesday, November 6th. It is the day of the doc. The doc joining the show.
Big day.
Later on to give us his thoughts on what's been going on with the Lions. NFL trade deadline. This upcoming game this weekend. Iffy coming back. Emmanuel Mosley coming back?
That's shocking news.
Mosley.
Shocking news.
It's big time.
Lots of big news out of nowhere.
On top of that, Pistons are in a battle right now with the Charlotte
All
Hornets.
right. Emmanuel Mosley's back, and Iffy Malfondo's back, and Broderick Martin's back. I didn't even know the Pistons were playing tonight.
Well, you should.
Hey, we'll give him credit, Boone.
I have a bet in on them. I put a parlay. If you guys want to know, I won't tell you.
Well, I will say Caleb, who did bet a double-double for Jalen Duren, and minutes into the game rolls his ankle, and he is out. So yeah, he and then he missed.
That's part of my parlay.
Yeah, and then he has not came back. He could be back, but it's Paul Reed.
He's how that happened. What, like the kind of mid first quarter?
Yeah.
At what point?
Caleb's curse.
I was gonna say. At what point are we gonna start talking about this man is just genuinely cursed? Like,
I'm glad someone else is cursed. I'm cursed enough with this stuff. So.
My God.
I'm starting to feel bad for him at this point. I mean, the other day, on Sunday, he had Cade to get 20 points. He ends up with 17. And now Cade has 20 points in the first quarter, and Duren gets injured when he flip-flops. Just a rough time for Caleb, our boy right there. So,
give him you're hitting it damn near every weekend. Give him one weekend, like where you just kind of take a little over, you'll bounce back, you'll make a fucking $5 to $4K anytime touchdown, first time touchdown score bet in the next 2 weeks. You smacked again this weekend. Just give him one weekend, not even.
Yeah,
one day.
Me and Caleb bet together on the Lions game Sunday, and it didn't work out so well. We had Monty getting in the end zone, but you know what? We'll bounce back this week.
I'll say this:
I trust in Caleb.
There's a part of me to where, like, the interception bet, like these bets that I've been hitting at a high rate at and giving out, like the legacy player, there's a part of me that just wants to be like, Caleb, here's an easy win. Like, let's just get you going. Like, let's go. And then there's a part of me where it's like, as soon as I give him that, it's done. Like, I'm not hot anymore. And I'm like, I don't want to. I don't know. He's getting to a point, and I hope he's watching too, because it's the funniest thing ever. To where it's like, take the opposite of what I have, please. Like, give me an automatic winner. I'll split the profits with you.
We even did, like, anytime me and Caleb, we did like a 4-legger anytime touchdown. And, like, you guys know, like, I haven't hit everyone, but usually I get at least, like, I'll get 3 out of 4. I'll be close on them. And I had 4. And he told me to take off 2. And it was Jamar Chase and I think it was Saquon. And he told me to replace it with J.K. Dobbins and Nick Chubb. And I was like, no, like, I don't think we should do that. But he's like, no, trust me. I was like, all right. I would have fucking smacked.
Yeah, Boone. I don't know if I would gamble with the interception picks that you've been giving out as far as giving Caleb picks, because I don't think you want to ruin that streak.
He better not. I'll have to convert. If he's in here watching, Caleb, do not touch my intercept. 5 for 5 on the year. Please do not touch those. That might be in the country one of the hottest streaks.
I wouldn't even think that, like, at this point I would, Booner, because, like, it doesn't make sense that you keep hitting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the odds are, like, plus probably, like, 2,000 every time for you to hit this time in a row and then just keep consecutively doing it. Like, if you were to tell me this week again, Kirby Joseph's going to get another pick, I'm like, no, he's not. He already has 6. Like, there's the chance of him actually getting another one. And then you'll call it midway through the third quarter, and when they need it the most, Kirby Joseph will come up with an interception. It's crazy. Every time there's an interception, I just look at Booner, I'm just like, because he just calls it. He calls it like an hour before it happens every time. And it's not like he's talking about it through the week. It's always like on the pregame show.
Yeah, it's just I get a gut feeling. It's when I have a good feeling, and the Kirby, like this Kirby one, it was just because I had put all these posts out about him getting an interception. He's played in Lambeau one time, which, by the way, no one realized that he only played there once. I think we were the only ones that put that out, and he got an interception on Aaron Rodgers. I was like, this man's going to go 2 for 2. There's no way. He owns Lambeau Field. He owns it, and he's 2 for 2. It was an E. It's just a gut feeling. That's all. That's what Caleb needs to follow, a gut feeling. Like, don't chase, nothing like that. It's just like when you wake up in the morning, you look around and you're like, all right, you don't even have to think about, like, what am I betting today? Nothing. It's just like you're walking around. It's like Jersey Jerry with the signs. You're just walking around, signs. I was watching like a Mario game and I saw the little Kirby thing pop up. Kirby today. It's Kirby. Boom.
The universe sends you.
Yeah,
me and Jeff are just asking for one Terry on interception every week, and it can't happen.
Yeah, you can't chase. You can't chase. I'll tell you can't chase.
Yeah, I found that out last week when we were golfing. Not to chase.
Can we play that video?
So,
oh my gosh,
you mentioned Klotzy, how you just been so close.
No.
You know, I'm with you on that in terms of betting. Now it transitioned into real life. I had a putt to break 100, which is huge for me. I started golfing in June with the fellas. I've been working hard at it.
Grinding.
Mike Booner giving me tips. I'm practicing. I'm watching all types of videos. Last week, I didn't show this on the show, but I had a 2-foot putt, it looks like, to break 100. So I told my wonderful girlfriend, I said, hey, Lex, you want to record this just to capture this moment? Little did I know the moment she captured would be the most fucking embarrassing moment of my short golf career. Okay. I mean, look,
this is incredible.
This is
499.
Play one more time.
Mind you guys, Jet's been trying to crack 100 and get 99 all summer long, and this is finally we're all together. He's about to do it. He has a 1-foot putt, and just a 1-foot putt.
Look at that.
A 1-foot putt.
Bro's he's in awe. It's the Jimmy Butler. Not even the Jimmy Butler. You didn't even put enough time in. You weren't killing it enough to be the Jimmy Butler meme. That's like the J.R. Smith, like the 3 that rounds out after.
I'm dying, dude. It's one of those moments I feel bad laughing for my friend, but it was like that. Like, dude, we went through a full 18 holes grinding this thing out.
Yeah.
The hole before, he had to we were like grinding the maneuver to get him to have a chance at 99. A perfect shot in, a foot away from the hole. And he's like, it was like one of those moments like walking up to win the Masters where it's like he's about to win the Masters and everyone's crowding around. His girlfriend's recording, and me and Gentry are just sitting there like, oh my gosh, he's about to do it. He's about to win the Masters. And the man pulls it.
Booner laughing is just fucked up.
You can hear me the whole time.
Yeah. And
Mulligan. I think it was the funniest moment of my life, dude.
Yeah,
the best part was he saved up the mulligan to the 8th hole. He had it all planned out, so he had that extra stroke on the last hole. Gets it within 2 feet and still misses it.
By the way, certified supply chain professional, what is that stance? I actually concur with that. That stance was disgusting. There's a lot of things. It was good. She got it on video. I got to watch some film. I'll be better.
I hope so, man.
Like
I really do.
Getting your ankles broken on film and having to rewatch it in front of the team. It's not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. Makes you better, though. That moment, that'll make you a better golfer.
What would Dan Campbell say?
I'm getting Charles Barkley comps. I mean, this is... Oh, that's funny as fuck, man. Yeah, that was rough.
I was there for the big moment too, man. I was so happy and just put my head down in disappointment after. Wasn't mad. I was just disappointed. We made it so far.
I thought it was the day. I was, and to be honest too, I've been trying to get to 89 this whole time, and I only needed a 4 on there, and I was like chipped in from the bunker, and it was like that close of going in. So me and him both were about to hit 89 and 99. It was about to be a historic day for Crunch Time Golf, man.
Yeah, I really did give it my all. I really did, boys. Well, you know what? I hope the Lions this week.
Proud of you.
All right, I appreciate it. The big game this weekend. All right, they're taking on the Texans. Dan Campbell spoke to the media. You might get some reinforcements this week, fellas, because guess what? 2 players that have been out for the Lions that they could definitely use for depth are practicing this week. Those 2 players, Mr. Iffy Melifonwu. Look at you, see him on there. Iffy, ankle, full practice on Wednesday. Emmanuel Mosley, pectoral, full practice on Wednesday. And even got a little Sione Vaki on there. I don't even know why the knee. He must be dealing with a knee thing. But he full practice as well. Broderick Martin.
Sione didn't play in the game last week for his knee. He was a scratch last week.
Yeah, I don't know when that even. Maybe it was a special teams thing or something.
Yeah.
But Broderick Martin, knee, full practice. Za'Darius Smith, no practice. He's going to start Friday because, the man's been going nonstop. Technically, the bye week for the Browns, he deserves a bye week. So that's the update. You get Iffy back potentially, and same with Emmanuel Mosley and Broderick Martin. They have opened their windows to return to the Detroit Lions. It's pretty big, fellas. All right, pretty big.
Huge.
Backup. You get some reinforcements.
Dude, my biggest question, I texted you guys earlier, and for some reason, I don't know what's going on. Maybe my texts aren't going through. Just no one responded to me. Unc responded, but no one else wanted to respond. But like the Emmanuel Mosley thing coming back, like if he's fully back, I know it's a peck, it's a tough one, but him and Iffy, it's going to be interesting because I don't know if you guys remember when Emmanuel Mosley went down, we were at the training camps a couple times, and he was taking the starting reps at the nickel, and that was over a meek to where obviously there's an injury, so he might not be fully back completely yet. But when he does get back, like Emmanuel Mosley, we know what he is when he's at his best. And I know he's been going through 3 straight injuries, major ones. But if he stays healthy the rest of the year and he is fully back, that is a hell of a player to have on that secondary to where, like I text you guys, like I wonder, and it makes him playing really good. And Dan said, like, he's getting better and better and better. But Mosley at his best, like we've seen him to where when he's not injured, like I'm not saying one of the best in the league, but he's at the top upper half to where it's like he'll give you something and he'll give you more than, I'm not going to say a meek because I think a meek's good, but like you guys see where I'm going here. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Like he's going to take snaps away from Amik Robertson if he gets completely healthy again. And it's the same thing with Iffy. Like the Iffy thing's a good sign because like a couple weeks ago, Brian Branch goes down for a game and you have Brandon Joseph. And Brandon Joseph's been very solid, but Iffy Melifonwu was on a different level. Like that's just what it is. So I love to see all of this. Za'Darius Smith, I love to see him just on the like officially like on a report. I know he's not going to be. Dan said that on Friday. They gave him the basically a couple of days off because this was supposed to be his bye week, and the man's 32 years oold. He needs some rest, boys, especially for a Super Bowl run. I wouldn't honestly. Would you guys be mad if he didn't play Sunday? It's a serious question.
No.
Yeah, like because it was supposed to be his bye week.
No, I wouldn't be mad.
Okay,
No.
glad we got that. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I'm not like, like the shut up and dribble, like shut up.
Get out there, Za'Darius.
Get out there, give it your all.
I don't care. I if he misses, great. Get him a bye. Like again, he's 32 years old. Like let him rest. We're gonna need him for the postseason. You know what I mean? That's when you need Za'Darius, not middle of the week or middle of the year against the Texans when you're 7-1. I just
And you're probably the Texans at their worst of the season. I would think.
Yeah, I'm excited to get Iffy back. Like I think he provides something they kind of do need, which is more of a pass rush, which he's kind of shown he can do that. And now AG's got kind of more guys to utilize back there. Like you said, Boone, more depth. They're going to keep Brian Branch, I assume, at safety, at strong safety. Maybe that situationally you can rearrange some guys and put Iffy at safety, but I think they're probably going to have Iffy compete with Amik. I mean, they're going to compete every single day. I don't know what spot Iffy could take. Probably Amik's spot would be the one. I think they keep Brian there. I mean, if this was last year, like they were rolling, they had Iffy at strong safety and Brian at nickel. I think they like Brian at safety just because of how. I mean, the dude's been unbelievable.
Playmaker, dude. He's a play. He can do whatever he wants back there.
They probably would have Iffy and Amik competing, which, I mean, Iffy is
But
he's a fine player. He could take that spot, man.
Emmanuel Mosley, though. Like, Emmanuel Mosley is going to be the one competing for that spot. Remember,
I don't think he takes it from Meek. I don't think Emmanuel Mosley.
I'm not going to say it takes it, but he's going to get snaps at that spot. That's like, if he's fully healthy at his best. Klotzy, I'll let you go because you were the one in training camp that was hyping up Emmanuel Mosley. I think it was you and maybe Easy with the heavies. I think he was hyping him up too. Like, when Emmanuel Mosley's healthy and going, he is very, very good. Like, he is and he's a vet. This isn't anything at Meek, but like Emmanuel Mosley at his best as well. Like, he is going to get some snaps there. That's a fact.
Yeah, I think if Mosley comes back, because what he is he's just a very smart football player. He's a long-rangey corner who used to play on the outside, but because of his injury and his age, that's why he's getting moved to nickel right now. But he is very physical. Starting off, there's no way that he's going to be able to take Meek's spot. I agree with you, Jeff. But to Booner's point, E-Man, he's definitely going to be getting snaps in a rotation. I think he's a guy that he's a veteran. He's been playing in big moments. And I think when you look at the quarterbacks, who do I have more faith on to consistently show up? Emmanuel Mosley or Meek Robertson? It's Emmanuel Mosley. Not saying that Meek can't, but just as an overall football player, I'm a little bit questionable coming off 3 major injuries. I want to see him how he performs. But if he's able to perform 75% of what that man used to be, he's going to be an impact player for this team. And when you look at Iffy as well, I don't think they're going to want to put him in the nickel because I think when you looked at how he played at safety, he was just out there balling. And you can have the sets where you have the 3 safeties out there. It might not be the traditional nickel, but then that allows you to do 4-man fronts, which allows you to do Zadarius Smith, your 2 defensive tackles, and whoever you want at that edge. So Aaron Glenn's going to have a lot more schemes. And when you look at this secondary, that's exactly what they need right now because what is the Detroit Lions' weakness? That defensive line. Who's that going to affect the most? The secondary. So to get 2 guys who can just swing in the rotation like Emmanuel Mosley and Iffy, it's what this defense needs to be able to continue the stability and the consistency that they've been having because, Jeff, and we've been big on it, defense have been playing great, but how long they can continue to do that, even with not Emmanuel Mosley, even with Zadarius Smith. Having these 2 guys in the secondary makes a huge help, especially when you have like Malcolm Rodriguez out. If he's going to be big for that. So I know Malcolm's going to come back, but there's going to be more injuries in that linebacker room, whoever it is on the defensive line. These 2 players lessen the blow in a big way.
Yeah. I mean, real quick, as much as Iffy's valuable getting after the passer, that dude can cover. I mean, he showed it last year. He's great. I mean, he's pretty reliable in that area too. He's a pretty complete safety, Iffy. He is.
I mean, as far as E-Man goes, I think right now, you kind of expect him to get eased in. I think if it's like, obviously you're happy for AG to get more reinforcements and kind of be able to move guys around. Like you said, if he can kind of slot in from Brian Branch, you can maybe mix those guys up, send one of them at the thing or at the quarterback. But as far as E-Man goes right now, I think Meek's playing too well. I think if it's like not broke, don't fix it. Like I think you kind of ease him in maybe later down the line, but I think Meek's kind of earned it, especially these last couple of weeks. I mean, obviously he has done some like immature, things after the play and whatnot, but I think he's had like 1 flag. So it's not too big of a deal when you look at that, but I still expect E-Man to be eased in. Meek's been playing too well to kind of just, even make it a competition right away. Meek's been solid. So.
Do you guys this week would be interesting. Well, no, go ahead, Booner.
I just think like it's just interesting to me. Like I think the way AG works, we've seen it in the past. Like he's gonna find ways to get some of these guys involved. Like he always has. You guys know what I mean? Like even in like the training camp, like if Emmanuel Mosley never got hurt, if he never got hurt, he was never gonna just like not have 2 of those guys on the field at all. So now it's like to a point to where we're going to finally start to see like how he was going to do it from the jump. It was just 2 of those guys got hurt. It was always going to be Brian Branch, Kirby, and probably a Meek with Emmanuel in there. And Iffy, it's like a 5-man rotation in different spots. Obviously, like Brian Branch and Kirby are 2 guys you don't want to take up the field. But I'm sure if you look at snap counts, how many games have they all played 100%? I'm not 100% sure on that. I guess we can find those stats. I'm sure, though, it's just like you have more depth because typically at times, like if a guy gets banged up in a game, you're going Brandon Joseph or you're going Kendall Vildor. Like we've seen that. Like you're going to be able to move guys around a little bit more. Like Terrion needs a break or something. All right, Meek can go out there and you can put Emmanuel Mosley there. Like things can get moved around so easily. And you don't have to put that much stress on all of these guys. Like you take a little bit of stress off. And it's like you're not really taking that big of a step back if another guy's in because these guys are all elite. Like this secondary is stacked when they're healthy. Think about that. Like it is a stacked secondary. That depth is insane now.
Can I ask a question? Just because it's a player that I don't think we've really talked about at all since the season starts, and this is going to have a major impact on him. What are you guys' thoughts on the lack of visibility that we've seen out of Ennis Rakestraw on the field on defense? Like, we've seen him out there a couple of times, but I feel like second-round pick, we all expect him to come on the rotational later in the season, but do you guys still think okay, just give him time? Like, where do you guys stand on Rakestraw as of right now? Because I'd imagine with these two players coming back, where does Ennis play in the nickel? I know he plays outside, but predominantly where does he fit better with his defense in the nickel spot? So what's your guys on Ennis?
Well, I real quick, I think Ennis is someone that coming out, we kind of talked about it too. He's more not like a developmental player, but there's things he needs to work on. It's very clear. Like Amik, they signed him. He started right away at nickel. Even with Ennis Rakestraw, like he beat out everyone for that spot. And then obviously you have Carlton Davis and Taron Arnold. But when there is injuries, you see, Vildor come in over him. I just think they're kind of being patient with him right now. Like you saw him a little bit against the Packers when Carlton Davis went down, for a little bit. Like you saw him kind of coming in the game late. But he's someone that I don't really have too much of an opinion on right now because I haven't seen enough. But to your point, when you draft someone in the second round, maybe you expect him to make a little more noise, but I can't even really say confidently he's been disappointing. You know what I mean? I don't have enough information, but I think he's a guy that they knew it would take some time just for him to develop. I will judge Ennis Rakestraw next season. We'll see.
Okay.
That'll be the official for me.
That was going to be my thing. It's like, I feel like he is a guy, and it's not even, honestly, if he was on a different team, maybe he would be playing very well. And he would the best development and the best experience is just getting in there and playing. So maybe if he was on a different team, he would be playing a lot and he would be able to get that experience. He is just on he's behind a handful of guys. And now with Iffy and E-Man coming back, dude, it makes it that much harder for him to get on the field. I don't think it's that he's not good. I think it's just that he's a rookie and he's a second round. Like Terrion obviously is that much better than him, talent wise, just off the jump. That's why he was the first round pick. So I just think it'll take time. I think I'm with you, Jeff. I think next year I honestly, Klotz, forgot about Rakestraw.
That's what I'm saying. So did I.
Completely forgot about him. Yeah. I honestly, you could argue it's not like a bad thing, but it's not a good thing, but it's not like a bad thing because you just have so many other guys in that room to where it's like, if you let him develop, think about what he could do next year. If you need him, I
think we all kind of knew it was going to take time. I think we kind of all just expected more given the injuries to the secondary. You see kind of other guys, like Jeff brought up, other guys kind of stepping up and slotting in before him. Given he was a second-round pick, you kind of expected to see him more when half of your DB room was depleted to start the season. But it still is going to take time. He's still very early in his young career. He still battled injuries in college too. So there's no writing him off. But you probably did expect more given the situation that the Lions were left in. So
I think it's fair, 100% fair. If Carlton Davis leaves with a concussion or he gets hurt, if I'm Dan Campbell, I'm not sending Ennis Rakestraw out there and you have two rookies at corner. So I get that viewpoint. I would rather have Kindle Vildor. And I know it sounds crazy, but at least he's played in enough games to where you kind of know what he is. If you put Ennis and Taron out there, it's just two guys that are going to make mistakes and you're a Super Bowl contender. That's not to me a smart thing to do. So I'm not even surprised he hasn't been out there too much. I don't think that's necessarily because of him just being bad. You know what I mean? So yeah. I get that perspective too. Two rookie corners. I wouldn't like that either, to be honest with you, personally.
You don't want to throw him into this fire. If you don't feel like he's fully ready and it's not like he's on a Lions team from 3 years ago and you're here you go. You don't want to throw this man into the fire on a team that's going to go win probably the best team in football and be here you go help us win a Super Bowl when you're not fully there yet. Think about the backlash Terrion got the first 3 or 4 weeks because he was struggling and all the flags and everything he was getting. And he's a bit better than him. So it could have been that much worse for Ennis.
Hey, Boone, you see Pete Prisco.
Oh my gosh, this guy
did his game picks for the weekend, and he picked
the worst guy in all of sports, by the way. Worst reporter in all of sports.
Texans upset, 28-27. He picked the Houston Texans. I'm starting to get the vibe now from national media that the Lions are like, everyone knows they're a good team. So now it's going to be who can be the smartest man in the room and pick an upset. Like every week, there's going to be a couple guys like, watch out for the Texans. And then the next week, it'll be, who do they play next week? Whoever.
They start I think the Jags.
So watch out for the Jags. Like it's going to be this constant every week thing. And I saw Pete he's the first domino to fall, picking the Texans at home. What do you guys think of the upset alert, kind of the threat the Texans pose? We're going to have a Texans beat writer on tomorrow. I was talking to Cole Thompson, and he put something out about Nico Collins could potentially play.
That's what I was going to say. They would need like Nico Collins to have 100% of the workload and be fully back into prime Nico Collins, leading the league in receiving. But that's not even talking about the injuries they have on the defensive side of the ball. And when you're talking about going up against the Detroit Lions, if you do not have a good defense, I'm sorry, you do not stand a chance, especially when you have an offensive line like Houston does. Because, yeah, they're probably going to be able to put up some points. Like it's C.J. Stroud, it's Joe Mixon who's been on a tear. Tank Dell's coming off a good week. Like they still have dudes on their team. But then when you just stack it up to the Detroit Lions, like it's not close. Even on the road, we just saw the Detroit Lions go into Lambeau and dominate the Packers without Brian Branch and Aiden Hutchinson. They're going to get Brian Branch back. They just traded for Zadarius Smith, who's expected to play. And, we just talked about Iffy and Emmanuel Mosley. So when you look at it, like, I'm trying to pull up the injuries right now. But, I mean, it's like, okay, so Jimmy Ward's out for the season. Shaq Mason, their guards, questionable. Will Anderson, questionable. Nico Collins obviously has that thing where he's going to be returning. Azeez Al-Shire, who is one of the most underrated linebackers in the league. He's one of the guys in the league who could probably tackle David Montgomery one-on-one and follow D'Amico after he was in Tennessee. One of the best players in the league that's not talked about. Then Jeff Okudah. Is he returning? We don't know. Stephon Diggs, injured reserve. Like, you just keep going down the list. Jalen Thomas, Ladarius Henderson. Like, they have guys that are true impact players that are just out. And there's players on that defense that are going to be playing banged up. Going up against this run team, and then you have Jamison Williams coming back this week, I don't see the Houston Texans standing a chance, especially when C.J. Stroud has not been able to get in a rhythm. Like, C.J. Stroud, great quarterback, but we've seen what Aaron Glenn has done to the quarterbacks. Like Matthew Stafford, he went off, but they were able to contain him. If you have C.J. Stroud, a younger quarterback who's not been having his best season, like Aaron Glenn, I think is going to have a field day compared to the other teams that they've been going up against recently. Like, the Texans scare me way less than the Packers did, even with Jordan Love hurt.
Yeah, and to Lucas's point, Stroud hasn't. I think he's thrown one touchdown pass in the last 3 weeks. Even getting Nico Collins back, he's not going to be 100%. Will Anderson out. I just don't think there's any way that the Texans offense as of now, because like Joe Mixon these past 3 games has been the main focal point of their offense, and we know how the Lions defense normally is against the run. I don't expect him to be that big of a vocal point for them in this game. So I just don't see how how C.J. Stroud and the Texans offense is just going to get it going together after 3 weeks of struggling with a beat up Nico Collins and match the Lions offense, who has just been rolling the past 6-7 weeks. So I'm still very confident in the Lions in this game. Maybe down the line, if the Texans were more healthy, like Lucas brought up, all the injuries on the defensive side of the ball and two of the three of their best wide receivers out. I don't think they're going to be able to stick up with Jared Goff and the Lions offense.
All right. I've experienced Pete Prisco for a long time now. I've been in the industry a couple years. I ran across this man last year. A guy like Pete Prisco, and it's the same thing. And I would say a fellow friend, maybe not the best friend because I've only talked to him a couple times and I accidentally stood him up. Adam Rink. There are people out there who love to just fit their narratives. Like they love that's their career, is being like, I just want to do my narrative. I don't care about anything else. Pete, this Pete guy, he just wants to be able to look at next week. And if the Lions lost somehow, he wants to be able to just look back and be like, I was right. All of you were wrong. Listen, Pete, you're going to look stupid. Like Pete, I used to call him Pete the Clown Prisco. That's his nickname. It's been that for over a year with me. He had his own segment on my show last year, and he'll always have a terrible spot in my heart. I hate this guy with all of the passion. I hope one day we get to do a show together and I get to tell him all of this. But this guy is the most, he is the worst person in the NFL that covers I don't even know what else he does. I don't know how he got to where he is. Maybe he's actually good. I don't know. The guy sucks in my eyes. Telling me that the Lions are going to lose to the Texans. Listen, the Texans, if you're going to say this, guys, the Texans have lost 2 of their last 3 games. They lost to the Packers, who the Lions just dominated in Green Bay. They just lost to the New York Jets, who were one of the worst and most wild and worst situations in all of football. This Pete Prisco guy, I'm not going to say it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to I'm going to calm down. I'm not saying anything bad about Pete. I'm done with it. This man's irrelevant to Detroit. He's going to be wrong again. When the Detroit Lions win a Super Bowl, Pete should have to wear one of those I don't know, like an I'm dumb hat and sit there watching the Super Bowl parade go down Woodward Avenue. That's what he should have to do. This man is an idiot. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I really didn't give anything. I didn't give anything educational there. I just called the guy an idiot.
Yeah, just going after Pete Prisco, which is justified. And I think another
the Texans to beat the Lions and trying to pull the best team in football.
I mean, this Pete Prisco.
They're at their worst right now.
Shipcat says Pete sounds like he eats his toenails for a living.
He probably does, dude. He probably puts them on his banana sundae every night when he goes and eats that.
Banana sundae.
I mean,
Sorry, Jeff. Didn't mean to do that to you. Sam said a dunce hat.
He said you're a big banana sundae guy.
I figured you were.
Do indulge.
I'm sorry, dude. I just hate this Pete guy, dude. What does he have against the Detroit Lions? Honestly, what does he have against the Lions? Last year, all year long, when the Lions are winning games, he has the Green Bay Packers above the Detroit Lions all season long in his power rankings, thinking that he knows something that we don't. Buddy, you don't know anything. I know everything. You know nothing. You shouldn't be covering the NFL on CBS. You don't know anything about football. What did he do? Probably coach or something. And that's why he's in CBS, because he probably got fired as a coach.
Does Pete have a wizard hat on, Boone?
Dude, he's got 5 wizard hats thinking he knows what he's doing.
Pete.
He thinks he's cooking.
Pete guy.
Does Pete know what the Texans offensive line's doing? Easy puts this
He doesn't know anything. He knows nothing about football.
Of the Texans offensive line is allowed to combine 20.5 sacks this season. Most in the NFL. Since week 4, Lions defensive tackle Alim McNeill has 24 QB pressures. That's tied for 8th in the NFL and tied for 1st among defensive tackles with Chris Jones. That is the matchup Pete Prisco has to comprehend here. Okay. Alim McNeill has a favorable matchup here. And by the way, there's no injuries. I mean, Shaq Mason's questionable, but they've been all playing. This is healthy Texans offensive line. This is what they're doing. 20.5 sacks throughout the season. That's a lot of that, dude. I mean, how many times has Jared Goff been sacked? I mean, let me look real quick. 20.5 just on the interior of their offensive line. And Jared Goff this season has been sacked 18 times.
That's crazy.
Goff's been sacked 18 times. The Texans have allowed 20.5 sacks to just the interior of their defense of their offensive line.
It's fucking terrible.
I mean, that is
poor Stroud. Poor Stroud.
Yeah. And they got their starting tackles, Tunzel, and who's the other one they got? Laramie Tunzel.
Why did you say? Hold on. I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I don't know.
I should know. He's a good tackle. They have 2 good tackles.
Titus Howard.
There it is. Yep, Titus Howard. And then they also have Shaq Mason. So they have some good pieces. But yeah, Alim McNeill. Hey, we say it every week.
I'm looking right now.
Hey, he had a good game against Green Bay too. If Za'Darius gets in there,
yeah. So if Za'Darius,
it's only going to help the cause. It's only going to help the cause.
I was watching some the film breakdown of Za'Darius Smith today because I really wanted to see because we got a lot of questions about the double teams with Myles Garrett and so how does it apply? Here's the thing. All you need is someone else on this defensive line to command some sort of attention, and Alim McNeill seems to be doing that. If he can keep being the player he is, he will demand double teams. So Za'Darius will get one-on-ones, just like he got in Cleveland. Maybe not to the same extent, obviously, because it's Myles Garrett, but he will have plenty of opportunities where he will be getting one-on-ones. And I watched him. It was against the Cowboys. I think it was last year. Did they play the Cowboys this year? Or was it last year? Whatever. They played the Cowboys. And this man, one-on-one, Zach Martin, they jump on Myles Garrett, double team him, And the Browns, Jim Schwartz does a really good job of putting Myles Garrett essentially on an island, and then you put the other 3 defensive linemen kind of, space them out from Myles Garrett so they can just get one-on-ones. That's what the Lions should be doing. Like, put Za'Darius, away from Alim McNeill. Like, force offensive lines to make a tough decision. Do you double team Alim? Do you double team DJ Reader? Do you double team Za'Darius Smith? And maybe some other, whoever else is starting at edge, Levi Onwuzurike, Josh Pascal, maybe they're going to get plenty of one-on-ones as well. So he makes everyone better. So Za'Darius Smith, not just he's going to help Alim McNeill, but Alim McNeill is going to help Za'Darius Smith.
I want to say this too with Za'Darius Smith, and I know he's off until Friday for his bye week, but I do hope he plays. Like, I wouldn't be mad if he doesn't. One thing though with Za'Darius Smith, and I think like adding to this defensive line, and especially if he goes versus CJ Stroud, what's the one thing we struggle with, fellas? Like containing these mobile quarterbacks, right? CJ Stroud, if he's not injured or anything, he could be mobile. Obviously not like a Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, but he's mobile. And if you look at Za'Darius Smith's year, his sacks, he has 1 versus Lamar Jackson. He got 1 versus Joe Burrow, 1 versus Jaden Daniels. Like, if you want to throw Daniel Jones in there, I don't know how mobile I think Daniel Jones can move around a pretty good amount. He has another one versus Daniel Jones, and then Dak Prescott. Like, he has shown in his career that he's able to contain quarterbacks like that. I know he had Myles Garrett with him, but with Liam McNeill, DJ Reader, Levi O. Like, guys, Levi O was your basically number 1 edge rusher, and he's not even he's not an edge. Like, the man's an interior D lineman, and he's been your basically number 1 edge rusher the last few weeks. So now you're able to move. Probably I saw someone ask, what side do you think he's going to be on? He's going to be, I bet you, on that left side where Hutch was the whole time. Like, I bet you he's there. Levi O goes back to the other side, and now you're running and you're rolling there. So I think that's going to help a little bit. I hope he plays Sunday, fellas, because this Texans offensive line isn't that great. You put him out there with Alim and those guys, I think they get to CJ Stroud a few times. And streams only being like, Levi has never played edge. He's done the streams only. You've said this a million times. Levi is always on the edge with the line that we have seen. Whether they mark it down or not, like, watch the game. The man is coming off the edge multiple times throughout games. He did it all training camp long. Like,
exactly.
What are we doing here, man? You need to get better. You need to watch some film, man. Like, get lock in, Pete Prisco.
That's gonna be Booner.
That's streams only new nickname, Pete Jr.
Oh, don't do it. Hey,
I like streams only. Me and him, we have we have a good bit going back and forth. I like streams only. But if he could come at us, I'm gonna call him Pete Jr.
Yeah, he's I will say, can he play edge? Yes.
And I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm sorry. Why did he bring an Isaiah in Mohammed? Because you need depth, buddy. I don't know how else to teach you, man. You need depth. All right, Pete Jr.
I will say
to the NFL.
Yeah, I will say, Boone, you're not completely. You're right. He can play edge, but we would agree you prefer him to play.
He's an interior player. But the way the team's built, you need the man on the outside, and he's had to do it. That's why I love Levi O this year, because he can adjust. He can do everything, and that's why I love Levi O. He stepped up when that's not his position. He didn't need to do he did it though, because Levi O was a good guy. All right, I didn't.
Levi was a good guy.
Great personality.
Yeah, the type of guy you want your daughter.
He said you need depth at deep tackle too. We lost. Dude, I don't know what else. We need depth at every spot on the D line. I don't know what else to tell you. We need depth everywhere. And guys need to. It's like Mekhi Wingo when he's hurt. Like he can play inside out. Levi plays inside out. Josh Pascal inside out. I don't know what else to tell you, man. It's tough. We're in a bad spot.
Yeah, I
apologize, Michael.
Michael, Boone just made my dog piss himself from your yelling.
We do get some comments like Booner needs to stop yelling. I will always yell. You have to turn your headphones down or something. There's just no.
Yeah,
it's been my whole life.
Someone commented on Twitter. It was like, "Yo, I listened to the podcast. Could you lower Booner's mic?" And I'm like, "No, I can't lower his mic only."
Do people tell Pat McAfee to stop yelling? What are we doing here? Why can't I yell? All right, I'm not Pat McAfee, but I'm just saying, like the loudness and why can't we be loud a little bit here, huh?
You do. I mean, hey, you are who you are. You be yourself. You know,
like Vincent said, Boone, never change.
I won't
never change.
I'll always be,
Oh, I love that. It's funny as hell. Well, we're about to have John on in a couple of minutes. I cannot wait to ask John about all this stuff. You know what? John asked a question to Dan. I don't know if you guys like listen to the Dan Campbell press conference, but Dan like shut it down. I couldn't hear what it was. I could not hear what it was. And now I'm going to ask John. He was like, he asked something, and Dan's like, I don't really want to talk about that right now. And I'm like, Doc probably just pushed. Doc probably pushed the button or something. I gotta ask him.
What did he ask? I didn't.
I don't know. I get the frick, dude. The Detroit
mics
Lions,
are bad. Yes,
they can't figure out how to put a fucking microphone in the guy. It just put a mic. Pass a mic around. Or
why don't they just put mics like one every other seat?
So people, I literally downloaded a volume booster, boosted my volume, and re-listened to the question. I could not hear John's question. I fucking had that. Why don't you should just text the man? Well, I wanted to say it for the audience. You know, because people in the chat said I
text the doc all the time.
I wanted to save it for the show, but yeah, Lions, just put a mic. Give these people a microphone, please.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think any media does microphones.
Or in the room. In the room, maybe. Or
I think only the players and the coaches get the mics.
So, it's the dumbest thing.
It's terrible. Yeah, because you have to guess what the question is, and you hear them talking about a player, and you're like if you're watching it on YouTube or whatever, you're like, who is he talking about? And you have to connect the dots to figure out who he's talking about. It's the worst. I hate it sometimes.
Yeah,
shout out.
By the way, I wanted to acknowledge Detroit Grit became a Crunch member before the show started, so we appreciate you for that. And also Derek Lash gifted 5.
Derek
members
was at the garage.
Yes, he was.
And by the way, you know what? We're going to match Derek's gift here. So you know what? We'll give away. I'm going to give out a couple more of these. Derek's giving back to the people. Let's give a couple here. There you go. We'll give 5. We'll match Derek. So if you got one, congratulations. If you didn't, you'll get one the next time around. So there you go.
Before the doc hops on, can we just promote what we're doing on Sunday night? Should we let the people
absolutely know? So if you are if depending on what your Sunday looks like, you're going to be watching the Lions game, every single one of you. If you're in the Metro Detroit area or not too far away, we will be at Tin Roof. Let me get the graphics so you guys can kind of see what's going on here. But we will be down at Tin Roof at 6:00. Everything begins. We'll really start. Everything will start to kind of begin. We'll do our pregame hour and a half before the game. We'll do our watch party. We'll do our postgame show. Hopefully a Kool-Aid chug as well down there. Hopefully we get a Lions win. But if you're not doing anything, there's no tickets. You don't have to purchase tickets. All you do is you show up. Us, Real American Beer, will be down there.
Come drink some beer.
Watching the game. Come hang out with the fellas. Drink some Real American Beer and watch the Lions get a W. All right, so that's where we'll be Sunday night. Come hang out.
The first, I'll say this. I don't know if we're giving free Real American Beer out. I don't know if we can do that. But personally, the first 2 people that watch the show and come up and they're like, hey, fans, we heard you guys. I will get a bucket of beer. Right? A bucket of beer for you and your friends for the first 2 people. So 2 buckets of beer. I know that's not crazy. But in crunch time, you know what? I'm sure the boys will do a bucket. Crunch time, we'll do a couple buckets as well. And we'll get some people if you come up and you support the fellas and show up. And we'll watch the Lions beat the Houston Texans with the Pete Prisco, and we can all clown this guy together. You guys can watch our pregame show live. We're going to be live for the actual game, the watch parties that you guys watch on YouTube. You'll be able to just hang out with us during that. And the Lions win, Kool-Aid chug outside.
Downtown,
cannot wait. Downtown. And you know what? We're gonna start being downtown more. Kool-Aid chugs downtown has been like my dream. I feel like the next step, I'm getting closer and closer to Ford Field. It's like I'm right there now. Like we're right there.
And Boone, you had quite the crowd on this past Sunday for your Kool-Aid chug. The people were loving it. So you got to get downtown.
Yeah, if you could do another live one downtown, the Grand Rapids one was electric, so we got to get another one. So if you're not doing anything, coming out the fellas, it'll be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for it. I went down there today, kind of got a check for the internet, got where we'll be setting up, got to meet the manager there and the tech guy, and it was awesome. So, which is awesome. We got a tech. There's a tech guy.
Shout out to the tech guy.
Yeah, he ran an Ethernet cord all the way through the roof like this. I was like, God bless you, dude. God bless you.
You would say his name was Austin, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out Austin.
Shout out.
Yeah, it was Austin. Yeah, I think it was. Yep. Yeah, two guys actually. I can't remember the other guy's name. Shit, but they were cool as hell. It was awesome. Can't wait to be down there, man. Second floor. Jalen's pulling up as well. 1-800 parlay. Yep. He'll be out there. He's gonna take some photos for the boys. He's gonna pull up with his girl. So Jalen, cannot wait to see him as well. I haven't seen him in a minute actually.
Yeah, shout out Jay. Hey, Woodward Knights alum. Shout out.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun time. But yeah, if you're not doing anything,
everyone should be there.
Hey,
man. That
Tin
would be
Roof,
a great time.
The best spot in Detroit, boys. Best spot in Detroit.
Right? I mean, you're right next to Ford Field, Comerica. I mean, yep. Where else would you want to be? I know where I want to be. Right here with John Maakaron. And this man,
I'm thrown off. Whoa!
He did it.
This man shaved.
Whoa!
He does
Business.
He's ready to go.
Looks like Mark Cuban. I mean, this guy. Okay, let's just get him on here. John Macaroon, you guys know who he is. By the way, as always, this is sponsored by BetUS. Mr. Macaroon, you guys know who he is.
This is crazy.
Sports Illustrated, host of the Lone Wolves podcast, Detroit Sports Podcast. So please welcome our guest. Joins us every single Wednesday. John Macaroon. John, get in here. How you doing?
Wow.
Fellas, it's a new era. It's a new America, a new world. Big smiles on my face. And cheers to Macomb County, Michigan. Cheers to the greatest state in the land. They handled their business. It's a good time to be alive. Lions are 7-1. Cheers to the fellas. It's a good time.
Real American beer, baby.
Shout out.
Hang on, brother.
It's a great day to be alive, fellas, and it's good to talk football. I'm a very happy man.
Well, you know what, Doc? You shaved off about, not only you shaved off your beard, but you might have shaved off about 10 years. All right, you look good, Doc. I want to ask you, started off with the obvious. Monday, Lions made a trade. Or Tuesday. Was it Monday or Tuesday? Shit, now I forgot.
Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Tuesday morning. Lions made a trade. We've been waiting on it. Who was it going to be? We've been talking to you about it. Zadarius Smith is a Detroit Lion. Your thoughts on the deal, the player, what they paid for him, and just the trade deadline in general. What's your thoughts on it all, Doc?
I'm very happy. It was amazing because, first and foremost, I think everybody kind of figured out why Zadarius Smith posted SMH on Twitter that morning. And luckily for me, I got up early. I was ready for it. And you see the tweet and you're like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? He's not coming to town. Well, is he upset? Most likely he figured out that his vacation for his bye week got canceled because the Lions traded for him. He was on his bye week this week. He played 9 games and he's a veteran, probably had a nice trip planned and realized that, oh my goodness, I got to stop it. I got to cancel it. And it happened literally like half hour later. Zadarius Smith is a member of the Detroit Lions, and the Lions did him a solid. They give him 2 days off. He's not going to report till Friday. I surmised that by asking Dan Campbell today. It was pretty clear, like, okay, what are you going to do with this guy? I mean, poor guy can't get a week off. He could play 18 games this year and beyond, but I'm excited. Like everybody said, like your previous guests have said, I'm very happy. They upgraded the defensive line, and they addressed an area of need. And you remember last year, they didn't do that. They paraded out like it was important, Donovan Peoples-Jones. This year, it's a little bit more of a higher caliber player that's going to contribute to this football team. I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table. Clearly, guys, the sack totals have diminished. They're almost non-existent. I think 1 sack the last couple games. I want to see how he complements the defensive line.
Hey, yeah, Doc, I mean, that's my question to you, because we've had this conversation with you over the last few weeks leading up to the trade deadline. And I know kind of how you felt a little bit that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was, hey, you need to make a deal to stay in this Super Bowl race. And I remember, I think we had the conversation 2 or 3 weeks ago that if they didn't make a move, that there was a question on if they can compete for a Super Bowl, especially with the AFC the way it is. Do you think now Zadarius Smith is that? Because we were pushing the Max Crosby stuff, and that's a bigger player. Do you think with Zadarius Smith that they're going to be able to go out there and compete, and that D-line can still take a step forward? Obviously, won't get to what it was before, but it could take a big enough step to be able to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's a great question. First and foremost, thanks, you, John Doc. Hughes. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was in the zone today. I was good reporting, asking questions, getting the information I needed. And for those that want to know, no, I'm not looking for a new job. Like I said, it's a new dawn. It's a new era. For the 60 seconds, I'll talk about myself. The numbers are skyrocketing. The video views are beyond even my wildest imagination. So when the video views get to that level, I got to look a little bit more like, hey, this is going out to a lot of people. And I figured, you know what? It's a new era. I'm feeling good. You guys know the news cycle from the time that Aiden Hutchinson got injured until now has just been crazy. It's just been news after news after news after news. And I thank everybody for visiting a little slice of the internet, Lions on SI. And then the trade deadline rumors were just out of this world. People love and are invested in the Detroit Lions. They wanted to upgrade the team. And Zadarius Smith is a player that's going to help this defense get more pressure. But the question is, are they Super Bowl caliber? Look, I don't want to pop anyone's balloon, and I don't want to this is a festive mood. I'm in a festive mood. And I think everybody knows probably why. My ass probably saved a lot of money. And I'm very happy about that. That puts a smile on my face, hopefully. But in my mind, I'm a guy that's 45 years old. I have Lions PTSD. So I'm always in that zone of what can go wrong, who can be a football team that defeats the Lions. I want the Lions. Look, I'm traveled. I'm ready to go to New Orleans if it happens. But my season prediction has always been the Lions get there and lose. I think they're good enough offensively. That's going to be the biggest question mark. Defensively, can they gel fast enough? Is that enough? To me, I'm never satisfied with the roster. I want more. I wanted Azeez Ojulari. I know you typically don't get two at the same position. I just wanted to stock up and get players. And then you see the Commanders, who I think are kind of the next up-and-coming team. They get Marshawn Lattimore. That's in a move directly to try and stop you. And that's a guy that knows Dan Campbell. So that's some intel. So that's some sophisticated maneuvering by that team over there in Washington. But look, if they can continue to play like this offensively, nobody in the world is stopping them. But remember this, one of the best defensive coordinators resides in Kansas City. And I know people love to look at the quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, but Steve Spagnuolo is a really talented defensive coordinator and amongst the best in the league. So, if it's the Lions and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I'm having a heart attack. If it's the Lions and the Ravens, I'm having a heart attack for different reasons. But look, that's the fun ride we're going to go on. But I can't, me personally, sit here and just tell you guys they're going to win the Super Bowl. I feel like I'd be setting you up for failure. I think they're a good football team that has to continue to grow and play well offensively, stay healthy. But it's just too far to project at this point. It's fun, but there are some good teams that down the road you got to pay attention to in the NFC, like the Eagles, like the Falcons, like the Commanders, like the 49ers. So there's a long way to go, but we're 7-1 and we're as close. The Lions are as close to Super Bowl caliber as they've ever been. And this is the wild ride that we go on, and I can't wait to see it. It's close, but I would have liked one more move to kind of ease the anxiety that anybody would have if the Lions get there.
And Doc, talking about the defense, talking about the Darius Smith, but two moves that were made today, and they weren't acquisitions, but Emmanuel Mosley and Iffy both backed up, opened their windows so they can return. How soon do you think we're going to see those players back, and what do you think that impact will have on this defense, given how good the secondary has already been looking in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's a nice opportunity. So what happens is, they're coming back from injury, so their 21-day window is open. The Lions are going to evaluate if they're ready. I think it would be just a great addition to that secondary, right? To add depth with Emmanuel Mosley. He's just been bitten by the injury bug. Ifeatu Melifonwu, another physical presence. So if those guys can be active over the next 3 weeks and they showcase that they're healthy and can be contributing, I think they'll get to the 53-man roster. I don't know about both. Maybe one. You hope for one. But hey, man, it's great news because you've seen it now. The secondary can use as much help as possible. They're growing and developing. The safeties are playing out of this world, and as much help as you can get. Hey, I think it's great for this defense. Again, it's going to be, to me, for the defense, is does Zadarius Smith unlock whatever's been missing, and that's yet to be determined. Remember, guys, he's over 30 years old. So you always got to kind of be on health watch, monitor him as well. He's had a good start to the year, 5 sacks, top 15 in pressure, doing good things. So I think it'll be fine, but there's no, like they said, the great quality defensive ends don't fall off of trees, but he was the best one available. So you get what you get. But man, I love the fact that if Ifeatu Melifonwu can stay healthy for this stretch of games, and he adds another physical presence, and we just don't know yet about Emmanuel Mosley. You get a sense that he's good in man-to-man, but he just hasn't been healthy enough to be able to assess what he's about. So it's good to see him. He's got a good story. He's resilient. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that these two guys can stay healthy. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And Doc, I seen you post on Twitter. You had a conversation with J-Mo. How's he feeling? Obviously, first game back. Is he going to be ready to go Sunday? How is he feeling being back in the building?
Yeah. He talked to the media, and it was, standard. Like, there were some questions. Clearly, he got some prep in regards to, hey, what did you learn, about the suspension and things like that. And so it got to the middle of the media session. And to me, it was just, I always look at it from when people say, why did you ask that? Is that clickbait? Look, I didn't write the story on that. And there's no when I post the video, there's no clicking on it. When my philosophy has always been, sometimes I have waves of time where I don't ask questions. Sometimes I do. Really, the philosophy is, that's the question I want to know, is what's the message to someone like me who's watching you, and you've been suspended now a couple of times. What's your message to kind of calm me down, to not view you as a distraction? And his answer wasn't the best. I don't think that, maybe he could have took an extra second to think about it, but he said, I don't got a message. He's like, he basically has said, which is, I get it. Action speaks louder than words, but really in that sense, the correct answer is, it's never going to happen again. I'm good. That's all anybody needed to hear when he looks into the camera. But he didn't say that. He said, people are going to judge me. They're going to think of me, whatever they are. So there is a little bit of that rebellious attitude that he's got. I get it. I remember, he's 23 years old, but again, that's just something that he's got to showcase. Everybody trusts him and assumes that he's going to, dot the I's and cross the T's, but he's got to show it now. And I do think he's ready. I think guys too, which I thought was interesting. And sometimes the blessing of having more time. Today I had more time. I stayed at Allen Park till 5:36 and battled traffic before this interview. I read every word of what Jameson Williams said. He said something, and it kind of showed up in my video too, flippantly, but it was real fast. He said, I butted heads with Dan Campbell, but I love his support. Wait a minute. You butted head with Dan Campbell. There's no butting heads. Dan talks and you listen. So where's the butting heads? Are you confronting Dan? Are you questioning Dan when he comes to you and says, hey, what are you doing? There should be no butting heads with Dan Campbell, but but I think from how you can read that, how I assessed it is Dan has talked to him, and maybe J-Mo took it a certain kind of way, like, hey, think about this, or kind of deflecting. But now he realizes that, hey, Dan's got my back. Dan's going to deliver a message however he delivers it. And this is a football team that doesn't need distractions, that needs me to be available. So I think J-Mo grew up over this period of time. But there's also another nugget too, because I wrote a headline last week because I asked the question. I said, Jared, or I don't know if I asked, but somebody, I know I wrote the story. Jared Goff was asked last week, did you say anything to J-Mo? Do you feel like you need to say anything? He's like, I didn't say a word to J-Mo. Well, if you read the transcript of Jameson Williams, today he says, I appreciate everybody that supported me. Everybody was great, family, that. But he's like, there were some people I expected to message that didn't message. So I can't say that for a fact, connecting the dots. But Jared Goff publicly said he didn't reach out. And Jameson Williams said, hey, some people I thought, that's something to pay attention to. It's logical.
Doc, don't start any
I'm not
turmoil in my locker room, Doc. Not in my locker room.
There's no starting. Put the puzzle pieces together. The stories are out there. Jameson said it. I can't confirm it.
Don't do that
and
to
lock
me, Doc.
it, but you got to pay attention, because the last time J-Mo was out there, was that a signal to him? One target? Was that a message? You never know. So let's see how fast he gets into good graces. And Gage, I'm not looking for stories. It's common sense. I wrote Jared Goff publicly said into a camera, I didn't say a word to him. And Jameson Williams said it into a camera. I expected some more people to reach out, and they didn't. I mean,
he might have just been talking about you, Doc.
Did
you reach out to him?
But I got a master's degree, and I can put 2 and 2 together. That maybe he just wanted a little text, a little more love. He's a receiver. And receivers like a little bit more attention, and I'm definitely aware of that because I love the attention. But I can't confirm it. But just look at the stories.
Yeah, and that's all. Again, like that's what your job is, Doc. Like your job is to try and put puzzle pieces together.
Smart. I wouldn't have thought of that, Doc. You're elite at what you do. So I wouldn't have never thought of that.
I don't think that's too far off. I do want to ask you, what was your question to Dan? By the way, I went on a rant because the Lions, I can't hear these freaking questions, Doc. And I'm trying to listen to you ask a question. And Dan like shut it down. What was your question? Yeah. Now that you're here, I downloaded a volume booster to try and hear it. I couldn't hear it. What'd you say?
They actually have the microphone moved up, but it's tough too because you gotta get your words out fast because today there was 19 other reporters. And if you heard the first question, I tried to talk over somebody to get that Za'Darius question in. So here was my question, and it was a good one. My question was, Dan, were you guys close on any other moves besides basic talk? And he was like, we ain't talking about that. He was okay. I can't talk about that. So, but look, that's a fair question. You have to ask it. Just in case you could have said, yeah, we were close. Or you could have said, the market was really, there could have been an answer that was a non-answer, but you have to ask it. I asked Dan, was there anything else in the works trade-wise? And he shut that down. But that's fair because maybe they were trying for bigger. Maybe they got their door slammed in certain things. Maybe it was the same position that for the guy, it's a great answer. It's no problem by me. I asked it. He answered it. And that's the way we roll. But yeah, I wish they would, amplify. But sometimes I ask the question so fast because I'm trying to, speak over 15 other people. But that was the question. Dan gave a fair answer. And that's that.
Hey, Doc, I just want to ask you a question about the defense. And we had this conversation yesterday on the show, and I've kind of been talking about the defense over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Feels like AG, even without Hutch, like they've been able to put together a legit defense that's, I think right now, 5th in points per game allowed, but they're giving up a bunch of yards. What are your thoughts, like seeing it, especially in Green Bay, the way they kind of went about it? They really only gave up that touchdown in garbage time. Do you think this defense is it's legit? Like this isn't kind of a fraud type of deal? Because it is easy to say, versus these teams, maybe they're able to get these stops, but versus better teams. What are your thoughts? And I know it's outside. I'm not even really not the Za'Darius Smith stuff, just in general, how they've been playing the last 3 weeks. Do you think it's a legit thing that we're seeing?
Yeah, real fast with the chat. It's always good. It's a good question. They say is why would Dan answer that? You never assume. Sometimes I've asked questions that I thought he would shoot down, knowing that it was direct, and he's answered it. So you never that's my simple philosophy is these are questions that I want to know that I believe other people would like. And sometimes you answer to that. That's the nature of the game is that I get the blessing of asking them. And yes, most of the time, the person that's going to get shot down is me because I'm the one asking the direct questions that maybe nobody else will ask. So I have no problem getting shot down. You guys clearly know that because in the end, it's a blessing to be able to sit in the chair to ask questions that I'm curious about. That's number one secret to be successful is be curious, ask everything. So that's the blessing of being able to be in that room every single day. Lions defense, huh? It's I like it. I'm impressed because of the fact that they talk the talk and they walk the walk. They are able to get a lot of turnovers. They're led by Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, who are just really amongst, if you don't want to say they're the best, they're in the top 3 in the safety class in terms of 1-2 on a team. They're playing out of this world, and it's fun to watch because it kind of gives the defensive line confidence and the secondary confidence that, hey, we got guys that are going to be around the football. Kirby Joseph's pick 6 was unreal. And also, guys, if you watched film, guess who's emerging? And it's great to see. Jack Campbell played out of his mind against the Packers, and he's running to the football very well. He has numerous tackles. He's flying to the football. He's gaining the respect of his teammates. You see him on film, and he's making impact, getting a little bit better in coverage. I know he's got a little bit of ways to go there, but Jack Campbell's coming along, and he's seeing that second-year growth where the game kind of starts to make a lot more sense. He's playing more free, and it shows. So with a guy like that could potentially start to be a leader. I'm impressed with this defense. It's doing a lot of things. So it is truly bend, don't break, not letting teams into the end zone. And if you just give the offense one or two more possessions, this offense is lethal. And that's why I'm just starting to think too that what can carry them is just this offense is legitimately all world and can get better. So it's a fun ride to be on with this offense, right? This offense can just simply carry this defense. And so maybe that's why Brad Holmes is confident in just only getting one player at the deadline.
And staying with the defense, Doc, but kind of looking forward to this weekend, more specifically against the run. When you have a running back in Joe Mixon, who is in every game that he has started this year has went for over 100 yards, and you look at what he's done over the past 4 weeks, 4 straight 100-yard games. You add in Zadarius Smith. What do you think this defense, after watching what Aaron Jones has done, after looking what Tony Pollard has done, and even last week with Josh Jacobs in the first half having over 90 rushing yards, what do you expect this run defense to look like against Joe Mixon, who's, when he's been healthy this year, has been a top 5 running back in the NFL, arguably? Yeah,
I expect that the Texans are going to try similarly to run to the edges to test out what's going on, to see, if Isaiah Thomas and Levi can stop it. Up the middle is really silly to try with Alim McNeill and DJ Reader there. So Joe Mixon, I do think that's going to be a strategy for the Texans, is try to get him going. But here's the problem. The Texans' offensive line has been brutal. And you know how I know that? I got CJ Stroud on my fantasy team, and his numbers are taking a dump. And I'm lucky I'm 7-2. But the last 2 weeks, I had to do it. I'm like, how lucky am I? I got Baker Mayfield on my bench scoring 30 every week. And CJ Stroud's only scoring 12. So I'm like, I got to finally bench CJ Stroud. I had CJ Stroud last year and was having great success, but he's been pressured. The offensive line has been substandard. That's the weakness of the Texans. I think the Lions are going to take advantage of it, and I think they're going to bring the pressure from the secondary, from the linebackers. They're going to do some things to try and pressure CJ Stroud. Run game, here's what you can assume. Probably 90, 95 yards. Ain't nobody getting 100 yards rushing on the ground against Aaron Glenn's defense. That's what they take pride in. And that's what's amazing, is that look at the stretch of games that they've had not giving up 100 yards. I think everybody thought that last week it was done, but they clamped down and they held the Packers running back, to less than 100 yards after a nice start. So, man, it's great to see, because it's a philosophy that clearly is working, and it's a football team that runs to the football. They tackle well, and you rarely see a opposing running back into our second level without being touched. So it's an amazing thing to see. It's a stout defense. So I expect Joe Mixon, if you're starting him this week, sit him in fantasy football.
And Doc, Brian Branch, you had the chance to talk to him earlier. What was his thoughts on kind of the hit and just like really everything that came after that, him getting injected and whatnot, just his basic thoughts and his kind of rerun of what happened?
Yeah, look, man. Oh, it's crazy. Okay. And guys, again, chat, don't get too riled up by me saying this, but you're walking a fine line here when you're openly talking about being violent and being aggressive and wanting to be that way, and then going out there and laying the lumber to people. I mean, personally, I love it. I love the Ed Reed style of play. The way safeties used to come out there and handle business. Mark Carrier used to play that way. He was a former safety that was on the team. And you realize, man, that's Ronnie Lotz. Those guys, it made my passion for defense grow, just the way they would play the game. So Brian Branch is in that mold. But at the same token, now this is a couple times he's, helmet to helmet and done some things, but it's a split-second decision. It's so tough to make that tough decision. I don't think he should have been ejected. But here's the problem, okay? You have that situation happen, you get the penalty, and now you're ejected. The next thing you do is probably something that's a little bit way overboard in terms of middle fingers all over the place and getting another 15-yard penalty, which Dan Campbell talked to him about. And so what happens is, here's the part it's again, mixed messages. He is standing in front of the media. He's got to act professional. He's like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I don't want to be known as that. I don't want to be doing that. I can't be, having my 2 fingers in the air like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I can't be doing that. And 15 minutes later, the media all leaves. What's posted on social media? All the secondary is wearing his shirt and dancing and having a good time with it, with his face. And you see him in the background. So I get it. They're having fun, but there is that fine line. You guys have got to remember, it's Detroit versus everybody. The league is looking at the Lions. And I think you guys, knowing basketball, can harken back to this. The bad boys tried to run the league that way and to be nasty and to do it. And they were successful, gritty, and they won it. But the league tried to, do their thing with the Jordan rules and tried to legislate that out. I think the league is on notice, especially in prime time in a 425 slot, America's Game of the Week. I think the NFL said, hey, pause this kneecap talk, pause this violence talk, and we're going to eject you. Here's the blessing, though. That's the part where they can rub it in my face and say, hey, we lost Brian Branch and we even played better. We have Brandon Joseph there. Kirby can handle it all. They went on to win the game by 10. So it didn't impact anything. So, but to me, I'm more of the, hey, rein it in, fellas. Play violently within the confines of the game. Try not to get 30 yards in penalties on one play, maybe just 15. But it's a fine line. It's a very fine line of playing aggressive and playing reckless. And I think that hit, it's unfortunate. It's bad timing for him. And here's the problem. He can talk all nicey nice in front of the camera looking like me. But guess what's going to happen Saturday? You're going to read a story about Brian Branch having a massive fine. You're not going to do that to the league. They are going to fine him quite a bit of money. And I'm guessing probably in the $50,000 to $75,000 range. You got to send the message, hey, you can't be, waving your middle fingers in the air and calling us the B word in front of the whole world. So he's sorry. He did the corporate thing, but the lesson will be learned when his pocketbook gets hit. So it's going to be interesting to see that fine line that these guys got to, I love the aggression, but you just got to rein it in, especially if the flags start flying and you're in a game in the playoffs, you got to rein it in. You can't take another additional 15-yard penalty. It's going to be interesting to see how it happened. But the ejection was bogus. The most bogus ejection I think I've ever seen. And luckily the Lions overcame it.
Hey, Doc, we were talking earlier about Ennis Rakestraw and kind of the storyline there. Haven't heard a lot about him. He seems to be, you'll see at times if there is an injury to maybe a Carlton Davis, that Kindle Vildor will go in there. Maybe some rarely it's Ennis getting any reps. I understand that because you don't want 2 rookies out there, but what have you kind of heard, I guess, in the background or what you've seen about Ennis Rakestraw and his progression?
Yeah, it's he's a developing player. They're putting him at different spots to see. But again, he's also here's the thing. When you miss practice time, it's just hard to get out there in games. And that's how Dan Campbell's always going to be. You got to prove it in practice week after week after week. And it was good to see him a little bit a couple weeks ago. And I think he's a developing player. I think that for him, it's still more of a steeper learning curve. Clearly, Terrion Arnold is out there and playing a lot more. I think that the coaching staff has a little bit more trust in Vildor. So we'll see now when Mosley gets into the mix, how that all shakes out. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But he's a developing player, and I think it's a benefit to him now, at least, to focus on special teams, focus on growing each and every week in terms of the secondary. But man, it's tough. It's a tough position to grasp, especially when you're not playing as much, no doubt.
Just want the weekly, at this point, we probably do this every week at some point, Doc, just the weekly Jared Goff MVP meter from you. I know this is the thing too, because Jared Goff, I think it's an odd situation. He's not putting up like these 300-400 yard games, but the control of the offense that he has and what he's doing with his offense seems to be at a different level that no one in the NFL is doing, even the guys that are putting the numbers up. Where are you at with the Jared Goff MVP stuff? I'm going to ask you this every week until he wins it, Doc. Just want the meter, Jared Goff meter. Where are we at? How are we feeling? Percentage, all of that. I want that from you here.
Yeah, it's great to talk about. And so for those that want the shirt, I think you can find it through Made in Detroit. I think you guys got stuff going on too. So look for the merch. It's all fun. But I'm curious to see. Like I said, I love defense. I love aggression. But there's these pesky dudes in zebra outfits that can wreck your life. And that's where and also too, guys, remember, if you are in the chat not liking the words coming out of my mouth, then directly you're saying you don't like the words coming out of Dan Campbell's mouth, because that's what he's telling us. And it makes sense. Clearly your head coach talked to Brian Branch about, hey, don't do that. So if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm surprised you guys are disappointed in Dan Campbell. You seem like you guys are very high in support of the head coach of the Lions. So remember, from the Bill Belichick, from the Bill Parcells tree, Sean Payton, these aren't nice guys when they're not happy. Okay. So remember, he's nice in front of the camera. He's nice to me in my face, but he's a football coach. And he said some things to Brian Branch. So if you don't like what I'm saying, I think you need to take a turn to the other side. Jared Goff, man, he's getting praise galore, right? Aaron Rodgers spent a segment talking about him. He's playing out of this world. And here's the crazy part. Dan Campbell said it. He said that, hey, wait a minute. Jared Goff could be entering his prime like right now. Like, can we get 5 more years of this? This is amazing. And it's an amazing thing to look at when you see a player put it all together and to play and this is stuff that has to shut everybody up. He's playing out of this world. And it's an amazing situation to look at a player that has shut everybody up, is getting praised nationally, top 3 quarterback in the NFL, in the MVP conversation. And right now he's the MVP. I don't think that you clearly noticed that the Detroit Lions would fall off the face of the earth and not be where they are without Jared Goff. And it's amazing to see, man. It's fun to watch. It's fun to go back and watch the film of the throws he's making, of the pinpoint accuracy that he's got. So it's fun to be a part of. And so that's I teased it this morning. 9:00 tomorrow. There will be a story that could feature QB1. So pay attention, and it has some interesting nuggets in there. So pay attention. It's an exclusive. The DOC got an exclusive with Jared Goff, and people want to talk to me. It's unique when people notice what you're doing, and they're calling me. So this is the dream, is when you don't have to do the work. People just call you and say, hey, will you feature this and feature that? And I'm just like, yeah, sure. I'll feature your company. I'll feature this. I'll feature that. And you guys are going to like it. I think it will be something that you guys will be impressed with. So Jared Goff, pro, man. But here's the tough part. Because he's got a radio interview, his talks with us are just like really fast. Like his transcripts are like 100 words. Like the word, like it's just like blah, 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 and he's done. He's like, yeah, it's cool. It's awesome. And Aaron Rodgers praised me. That's awesome to hear. Great. And that's his answer. And then the next answer is, oh man, yeah, I don't really like people talking about us great because we got to play 9 more games. And if they talk about us nice, that's great. But I don't, they talk about us bad, whatever. That's it. So he just wants to get in and out in like 5 minutes. And so it's a tough interview. And he said something interesting today at the end, but man, it's tough because you can tell he's just getting through it as fast as humanly possible. We can't even, I'm trying to write Jared Goff stories because he's interesting, but typically they end up being what other people are saying about him. Stephen A called him the MVP. Aaron Rodgers just spent, 5-10 minutes just telling everybody in the world to praise him. But this is awesome. Jared Goff, enjoy it. And this is high caliber, world-class quarterbacking. And I guess this is my opportunity to say it's better than what I've seen with Matthew Stafford when he was here. So it makes me happy. It's good quarterback play, limiting the turnovers as much as possible, not making the big mistake all the time, and winning a bunch of games. Guys, they're 7-1. So give the man his flowers even more. He's the league MVP as we talk. Cheers to Jared Goff. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate your help that you're going to give to our website. It's tremendous.
And it's tremendous, Doc. And a perfect segue into my question. Lions are 7-1. Jared Goff looked like an MVP. And we asked Jeremy this question yesterday when he joined. Where's the next loss? Because the way that they're playing, you look at the schedule, you're like, it's hard to put another loss in there. But one is going to happen. 2 most likely. The Lions are going to lose again. When do you think that next loss pops up on the schedule, Doc?
7-1. I think they beat the Texans. On Lions on SI. I gave that assignment to Vito. I said, what do you think? I think he wrote 15-2 with the only loss to the Bills. Probably a division game. Maybe the Packers get their revenge. I don't think the Bears. I think they're, the Thanksgiving game, and then you have the next game on a Thursday night with the Packers. Maybe the 49ers on the road. I could see them 14-3, 15-2. The game that's, got my attention is the Bills. The Bills game will be intriguing with Allen. He's limiting the turnovers, playing at a very high clip, but there is a chance. I mean, you could say, 15-2, 16-1, run the table, right? But, it's the NFL. There's going to be games where maybe you just don't show up. Something happens. Maybe that Bears game, because it's always tough to show up. And I think the Lions have struggled on Thanksgiving as of late because it's that just short 3-day window where you play on a Sunday and then you have just basically walkthroughs and it's all mental. So maybe that Bears game might not be the best game on Thanksgiving, but look, guys, number one seed. I told you guys when we started the year, number one goal is get that number one seed, because the bye week was early. Get that early bye, get that bye week in the postseason will help everybody. And maybe you get John Kaminsky back for the next game. You never know. Get some more guys healthy. So it's a fun opportunity, right? It's a good question to ask. But let's ride the wave of positivity all the way through until they lose that second game, man. They could go 8-9. Look, if they get past the Texans, which I think they will, the next couple of weeks, it's just like, I'm setting up my social calendar because I'm not concerned about the Colts, not concerned about the Jaguars. I'm like, this is the social time. This is where Doc might be out and about in Macomb County, the best county in America, having some fun, taking my pictures and enjoying some time at some local bars.
John, what NFC team, maybe if they're, and I know the Lions are the clear best, but any NFC team, the Eagles starting to win, 49ers getting McCaffrey back, any NFC team has you on watch to challenge the Lions?
Yeah, I talked about it on the latest Lone Wolves podcast. It was a great conversation with my guy, Christian. Good writer, excellent journalist, world-class, nice guy, puts up with me. The guy, the team that I'm concerned with is number 2 seed right now, and that's the Washington Commanders. I like what they did, and guess what they did, guys? They did a little bit of a chess move. They went out and got Lattimore. Well, Lattimore definitely knows a little bit about Aaron Glenn, so that's some intel that they now have on the Detroit Lions. And they're actually, what's great about that situation too is that could answer some questions as well, because they have a quarterback on a rookie deal, which some people talked about. They have money invested in other spots. They have great coach in Coach Quinn. Everybody in the world respects him for his defense. They kind of have that special mentality when you get a Hail Mary. You got that young quarterback that's learning. You got, a nice running back, a veteran in Austin Eckler. McLaurin is all-world veteran that can do some things. So I would love it. And also, guys, full circle. 1991, the Lions got to the NFC title on the road and lost. Could you imagine the Commanders come into town for the NFC Championship for the Lions to handle? Who would blink first? And I think it would be Jaden Daniels. But the team that concerns me is the Commanders. I like what they're doing. I like how they're playing. But all the teams that everybody will talk to you about, the Eagles and Saquon Barkley, he's on my fantasy team, and he's doing some crazy-ass shit with his maneuvers and what he's doing. He's carrying that team. I like what they're doing. People are kind of whispering to me about the Falcons and telling me about Kirk Cousins and his aura and the, all the good things that he's got going on. So I'm intrigued by the Falcons. They're 6-3, but never discount the 49ers, never discount the, the teams that are right there and competing with the Lions. But I just think the Lions are the class of the NFC. I can see it. I can see the Lions in the Super Bowl. I just can't. My PTSD, like I said, I think I've said it here. I said, if they win the Super Bowl, I will be in shock. Like, I might take a minute to post the game-winning story because I'm in shock. Like, holy shit, the Lions won the Super Bowl. So I think they're the class of the NFC. And if they get the number 1 seed, there's nobody coming to Ford Field and beating them. The fans won't let it happen. They're going to be screaming their heads off.
Hey, Doc, what do you have? Just want to get your thoughts on this Sunday's game, score predictions. How do you think the game plays out? And kind of any predictions, wild or bold predictions you have for this game Sunday on top of your score prediction.
Yeah, I love Sunday night games. I love the opportunities that are presented. It sucks that Nico Collins is not the full strength Nico Collins. I doubt he plays, but if he's there, he's not going to be. He's battling a hamstring, and he may not even make it through the game. I would have liked to have seen I would have liked to have seen this game week 1, where everybody's got their full strength and everybody's, going to town. But right now, look, man, the Texans offensive line is atrocious. I just think the Lions take advantage. I see the Lions offense rolling. I think that in prime time, I think everybody's looking at an opportunity to get their name in the highlights. Montgomery, Gibbs, I think Jameson Williams is going to come back and show out a nice deep pass. So I think 10-point win, 30-20 is in order. And you come back 8-1 and you really show off what this football team is about. And you get to the opportunity to have basically 2 bye weeks with the Colts and the Jaguars. So 8-1 primetime. And I think too, it's good. You get stories, you get some features, you get NBC. So Tirico and his crew will talk to whoever, we'll see who gets the attention this week. And real fast, you never know what Amon-Ra is going to show out with. Did you hear his podcast? Did you hear what I said it on my podcast? I didn't air it out. I discussed it, but his shirt said Green Bay sucks in the front. Did you know what it said on the back?
No.
Okay. He said it on a podcast. So I kept it PG on my podcast, but it was Green Bay sucks on the front and Detroit fucks on the back. So yeah, it's great. The guy is full on, like, when I saw that, I was like, well, a little bit conservative, like, wait a minute, that's a little bit bold, but he talked the talk. And this is something new, like with the Lions. Like, again, when we talk about Brian Branch and the swagger and everybody just being that way, I'm not used to that. I'm not used to this, like a football team that comes in and says, we're coming to kick your ass. This is how it's going to be. And then they actually go do it. So this is great. It's an adjustment for me. So be patient. I'm coming along. I'm seeing it. I'm liking it. I'm writing it, but I'm still, like I said, older guy looking at it like, hey, can you just kind of, also do it with a little bit of decorum? But this is also great. This is also very much in line with how I would operate if I was allowed to just be like, Doc rules and y'all drool. That's great. That's if I was allowed to do that, that would be great. But I like to keep it a little more buttoned up in my older age and seeing what's going on. I got to be, look, you guys know I'm not totally corporate, but you got to be a little bit corporate when you're working with other people. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. You can't just be, if you heard the things that I would say, if I was completely unleashed, man, it'd be wild.
Well, we love you, Doc. Great stuff today. You guys can check out Doc, of course, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. He's doing some great work. We'll talk to you next Wednesday, my guy.
Doc,
what's up?
I'm guessing you have to work Sunday night. You have to be working.
Yeah, every game I'm covering the game, watching it. Look,
man,
I was gonna go. I wanted to go.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask if you wanted to come.
The trip to Dallas, like personally, was great.
Oh,
it was fulfilling. Like I got my fill. It was costly, but budget's not an issue for me. But it just, I missed my family. I truly did. Fair. It was tough to leave. The girls I got 2 daughters. They were in tears when I left. The flights were perfect, but it's just the experience of being at home, covering the game, having a good time. And the Lions asked me, like, why don't you travel more? And I always say, I'm attached to my family first. And also, too, you guys see the storm. Like I talked about it with the media today at Allen Park. I said, if I was sitting here today and I saw that storm track going through Houston and that shit's coming Monday morning, I'd be fucking having a heart attack right now. I am not a good flyer. I don't want to be thinking about that all the time. And I just think that I'm more relaxed from the comforts of my home. And plus, here's the thing. Here's a secret, too. For the most part, I can do a game story, one additional thing, and post it at midnight, and then all the rest of the stuff will come out in the morning. So I don't really need to. A lot of the work happens during the day, so I can enjoy some football, and I can share probably that day because of what's happened this week. The numbers have been astronomical. Monthly numbers happening in a week are crazy. So I may just tone it down for Sunday, just a couple stories. You never know. But to me, I'm going to just enjoy covering the game, relax. And also, too, what's fun is I got a 14-year-old nephew. And if you think I'm bad, if he keeps up this, he's going to be doing podcasts with me, and we're going to be lighting up the world in 10 years because he's not only smart, not only handsome, but wicked smart, wicked into the TikToks and the engagement, digital content. He's just all over the place. Can pull up. If I say, hey, I ask him about anything, he'll tell me about it. He can pull it up within a moment's notice. Pro Football Reference up the wazoo, PFF. He uses all my logins, and he's great. We got a special connection. So to miss out on also hearing him cry when his he's got fantasy, he's in fantasy, he's very competitive, and when the Lions were winning, and he was in a fantasy matchup, and somebody else that he was matching up against scored, and he was just throwing things down. It was just I took great pride in spending time with them. I'm attached to my family.
Doc, I just wanted to throw it out there. I wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah.
We are doing an event at the Tin Roof. So, I mean,
yeah,
I know, hey, bring your laptop, come work there and watch the game with the fellas. I'm sure some people in the chat here that watch us every Wednesday would like to meet you.
Maybe it's a distinct possibility. It's going to depend on how the game's going the games are that day. It's a possibility. I mean, maybe more than 50%.
Over 50%.
There we go.
Hey, Boone, we got to pay that fee, that doc fee.
Yeah, what's the doc fee? What's the doc fee to have
I'll
an
take
event?
seriously. I really appreciate that. You guys have fun. And like I said, I don't need to come on air. I just would like to watch you guys do your thing, watch a football game, because I got to be like, I got to type from the start to the finish. So I got to be in the background.
Yeah, you're grinding.
It's fun what you guys do. When Kirby got the pick six, I love the fan groups in town, all across the town. When you get to see the bonds that you guys have and others have with their friends, it's special. People see it. It's real. And I appreciate seeing it across Detroit. The fans that get together, it's a nice bond. To me, I sacrifice that for the professional nature of the job, but you guys and others, I live vicariously through you.
Hell yeah.
I had my fun cheering in sports. I did my tailgating. We had some fun. I was in Fort Field sometimes, maybe when I shouldn't have been.
Yeah, he's the doc in his heyday. I mean, he had some. Hey, the man was on a mission. That's all. Hey, we appreciate you, Doc. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. Good luck this weekend, and keep up the great work, my friend.
Thank you, boys. Visit Lions on SI. I appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep up the great content, boys. Appreciate you.
There you go, John Maakaron.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Joining the show. I mean, he the guy's
wow.
I mean, he's a special cat. The Doc.
Wow.
By the way, brought to you as always by BetUS.
Shout out BetUS, baby.
Was that a buzzer I just heard, Jeff? Did you just play a buzzer?
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, cut the shit.
Ron Allen.
I'm watching the game, I muted my mic because I had the game on. I'm listening to Doc, and I'm freaking out. I'm texting the group chat. Let's fucking go 4 or 5. I'm celebrating early, and then I just watch Brandon Miller from the top ropes. Does it very simple, fundamental. I'm sure Booner, SVSU, you teach the boys how to box out. Brandon Miller out of nowhere with the putback, and then they win. That's it. Game over. Pistons. That's it. The hope of the Pistons winning 4 or 5 games was just a pipe dream. They won 3 of 4. They now drop a game against the fucking Charlotte Hornets, who had Taj Gibson starting the game. Shout out Taj Gibson, very fine.
Taj Gibson's still playing basketball?
Yeah,
there's no way that's Taj Gibson.
They honestly have no
Vince Carter. Yes,
they have no size. They ran with Grant Williams late, and then Brandon Miller. He's a big dude. He's like 6'9".
That was one of the worst missed box outs of all time.
It was fucking brutal. If Jalen Duren was in that game, he probably doesn't get that putback. But I just. Oh, it's all right. Lock in, Jeff. All right. You know what? Lock in. We got 32 more wins here, boys. The road to 35. We got 32 more wins. All right. Could have made it 31 tonight. They were close to 31, boys. I'm chipping away. But yeah. Now we're still at 32. Brutal. Fucking brutal, man. Lose to the Charlotte Hornets with LaMelo Ball having a bad shooting night.
Hey, but they're gonna make the playoffs though, right, Jeff? They're gonna be in the playoffs?
Wait, what'd you say?
They're gonna be in the playoffs though, right?
35 wins, boom.
No,
Okay.
35 wins, flirt with the play-in.
Oh, okay.
The best part about that buzzer beater is, I mean, I'm sure all you guys are very familiar with the Hornets commentator. I can't think of his name.
Oh,
he's good, right?
Yeah,
the GOAT. Like, he is the
elite.
best commentator in the NBA, and he dropped an absolute light.
Can you just put it up to your mic?
That's
Do you
what I
have
was
it?
gonna say. Yeah, here, let's.
I want to hear it. We can't hear.
Yeah,
No,
maybe
can't
it's
hear.
good.
Send it to me. I'll put it in my mic. Send it to me.
Yeah, maybe it's good. We just
Text it in our group.
Jeff's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
Fucking brutal. I don't know.
Jeff was basically, he said we would have won the game with Duren in there. So basically, he's blaming the loss on Caleb. That's kind of what I got out of that.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, maybe you get that box out. All right. I don't want to get copyright strike here, so we're good. We heard it. We're good. We're straight.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to get a copyright strike. Oh man.
It's just
it's tough.
Positives. Positives.
They were up. They were winning at
they
3 seconds left.
They do. They compete. They do.
Yes.
They find ways to compete. And Jay Ivey, by the way, another great game. Stacking them on top of each other. 21 points. Yeah, 3 of 5 from 3, shooting 40% on the year. He's been the number 2 this year. He's been balling with Cade, him and Cade. Now, it's just Cade, I will say objectively, like Cade's average in the last 2 games, he's had back-to-back triple doubles, 20, 10, and 10 tonight, 17, 11, 11 against the Lakers. But fourth quarter Cade tonight, he just didn't show up at the end.
I would love to say like he's still learning, but it's like he's in year 3. I will give credit and I'll give credit a little bit. This team competes. Like they are JB Bickerstaff. I said it from the jump. And Jeff, you can't be like, oh, Booner, you thought they were the one thing I was
welcome.
Consistent on.
Welcome.
No, there's no welcome. One thing I've been very consistent on over the last month since he's became the head coach was this man is going to install a culture that we saw in Cleveland and everywhere he's ever been. He wants his guys to compete, and he's going to end up at some point winning in Detroit. It's going to happen. So they competed tonight. They competed a little bit. It literally, they're one box out away. And it wasn't like it was like a rookie that didn't. It was Malik Beasley, a vet, one of your vets on your team that didn't box out, and you lose the game because of that one box out. You go that whole game winning, and then one box out, boom, game's over. That's it. It's crazy. Ankh, what were you going to say there?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, you are right about everything you said. They definitely play harder. And I was going to bring up the point. I've been tougher than most on Jaden Ivey, especially after last season. But what Monty Williams did to him, benching him for Killian Hayes, the man needs to be locked away for that. It just what's transpired over this, it was never Jaden Ivey. It definitely was the coaching staff and the situations that they were putting him in, the rotations, everything with that. But kind of going back to Cade Cunningham, he had 17 points in the second quarter. He scored 3 points the rest of the game. There's no excuses for that. Triple-double or not. Can't go. It's your best player. You can't get 3 points in the next 2 quarters when you're playing objectively a horrible Charlotte team. So it's just not good. But still very early, and they just got to figure out ways to get Cade to be effective in those fourth quarters, because every team's going to be doubling him. Obviously, other people are going to have to step up, but it's just not what you want when your star player is constantly having bad fourth quarters. But
hey,
he'll be all right. He's still balling.
He'll be better.
I mean, put that away, dude. Come on.
He'll be better.
Got your Killian one over there.
Gotta play.
This guy's like a little kid over there with his bobblehead.
Gotta play solid in the fourth quarter.
What are we doing here?
You can't go scoreless in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like you just can't. Let's get to top 10. All right, let's get enough of this shit. It's pissing me off. They had to win that game. Dude. That was a win. That was just gosh. 4 or 5. Oh, you guys wouldn't have hated to see me 4 or 5. You would have hated to see me 4 or 5.
Like genuinely, we would have.
All right.
Not going to speak too soon, too, before we get to this. Red Wings, still not a ton of shots on goal, 16-2, but hey, 2-1 lead in Chicago. Original 6 matchup. Patrick Kane coming home. Got to win the game. Got to win the games that are given to you. Win the games that you're supposed to win. Word to the Pistons, losing to the Hornets.
The Yoffs this year, Unc? Or am I going to be Chen? No.
It was a slow start, Lucas. But... Don't sing that, Lucas. You're not supposed to sing that. No, I'm still confident. I think it was very early. They still had some things to work out in the defensive end. You got Marco Casper playing full time. I think they get this goalie situation figured out sooner rather than later. I think they'll be okay.
All right, you know what? By the way, Spenny speaks. Wings aren't making the offs.
Whoa, Spenny! Screenshot that.
I don't know. I was
keeping
told
the receipt. We're keeping the receipt, Spenny.
No, Spenny's a Red Wings faithful, so I get his stance for them being disappointed, but I still believe. Believe.
Spenny doesn't believe. I'm keeping the
if
receipt.
If you're playing
this
terrible and you still have like 12 points or whatever it is, I mean, I think it's only up from here.
I just need the Pistons to match that record. Oh, it'll be
imagine the Pistons pull off a miracle and like sneak in, make the play in at the very worst, and the Red Wings just miss.
Oh, Mike. I think Mike,
you wouldn't be able to show your face on the show for too busy.
That would be
sharpen the goat mask. Like I'm gonna find something. It's gonna be it's gonna be something that day. It's gonna be something that day. I cannot wait. All right, top 10 list. We do it every Tuesday.
Here we go.
We obviously couldn't do it yesterday because trade deadline day. So we talked all Zadarius Smith. We had multiple beat writers on. It was a blast. But today we're going to get to our top 10. I'll go first. I'll show you my top 10, and then we'll go around the room. Mike's going to give his opinion on who has the best top 10. Who would he give the win to this week? Honestly, I don't think there'll be too many disagreements because, we had pretty consensus. But we'll get to mine first. All right. And, guys, I know Booner always uses this line, the correct list. Here's the correct list. Hold on a second.
My line, you can't do that. It doesn't hit as much.
And I'll tell you. Hold on.
I like what you do with the graphics here.
I'm getting in the bag a little bit.
Yes,
he cooked.
I'm getting into the bag a little bit. All right. Here's my top 10. All right. Number 10, the Atlanta Falcons. How about them Falcons? Hey, I mean, they're swagging and surfing right now, boys. Them Falcons look good. They look good. Kirk Cousins playing well. And I think the Falcons are they're a sneaky NFC team. They are probably the team right now in terms of like floating a little under the radar that I would not want to play in the playoffs. I think they're defensively, their pass rush a little inconsistent, but they got that safety duo. They got the weapons. They got a good O-line. Like they're going to be a dangerous team come wild card round. Whoever faces them going to have a problem. Or actually, they'll win the division, so they'll have home games too at Atlanta. Number 9, the Green Bay Packers. They drop. We had them higher, and after that loss to the Lions, they have to drop for obvious reasons. They're still a good team, but this is where we're at with this, okay, fellas? The Packers, they traded away Preston Smith. Jordan Love looks banged up. They have a bye week, so after this week, you'll find out more about the Packers. They'll probably rise on this list, but right now, after that loss, they just looked awful. Simple mistakes, drops. They did not look like they were prepared to play a big NFC North game. That's what that looked like. The Lions were the better team, obviously. At number 8, I have the Steelers. By the way, Steelers are moving up. That put them ahead of the Green Bay Packers. And I see Spenny in the chat. They should be over the Vikings. I was close. I'm very close. I like the Steelers a lot. And they add at the deadline. They added Mike Williams. They added Preston Smith. They're getting better. Russ is cooking. Who's letting him cook? Arthur Smith, new OC. Very good OC.
God,
he is. He's a fine OC. Not a head coach, an OC. Fine OC. And they're only rising. If you're talking about a stock right now, they're continuing to rise. Number 7, the Minnesota Vikings. They get a win. Beat the Colts. I mean, everyone seems to be taking turns on the Colts. Pause. But, I mean, it's just everyone's getting everyone's getting a turn on them. That's what it feels like now, Klotz. Even with Joe Flacco, the savior. He gets the start. They looked off.
Real quick. How far out are the Colts from winning or leading the division? A game? Those Jags? Top 5 pick? All right.
Well, let's stay on your narratives. We'll get to mine at a later date. But, yeah, that is fair. Number 6, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, they added at the deadline, Marshall Lattimore. Good acquisition. Okay. He's a little banged up. He will play at some point. Commanders are buying at the deadline. They obviously Jaden Daniels, the year he's having, man went to a Wizards game and got like a standing ovation. He's like the savior of the city. They love him. And the team's playing well. Cliff Kingsbury, dude, the more I watch their offense, the more I'm impressed with. Like, that dude is a hell of an OC. Maybe not a head coach. Just stay as a play caller. Because I watched Pat McAfee. They did a whole breakdown in AQ. Did an entire breakdown in the Commanders O-line, and they are making some things happen right now. So they're doing some creative stuff offensively. The Commanders continue to impress me. Number 5 are the Philadelphia Eagles. They are rising. They're better than the Commanders. I'm sorry, they are. They're going to play soon, and we're going to find out just how much better they are. Because the Commanders, as much as I do want to give Jaden Daniels a lot of credit,
This feels like just a narrative, right? This is a Pete Prisco type of move.
What does "and" mean?
Yeah, this is a Pete Prisco. This is you trying to figure a narrative from the beginning of the year.
Okay, hold on. If you want to be real,
he's a little shook over there.
Last three games, they beat the Panthers, Bears, Giants, and they lost to the Ravens. They beat the Cardinals, beat the Giants. Like they beat the Bengals, good win, but they haven't really faced tough competition yet. I mean, seriously, I'm just being honest. They're going to face the Eagles.
Who have the Eagles played?
By the way, the Eagles
doesn't fit his narrative.
Hey, no. Hold on. Eagles are a better. If they face this weekend, I'm taking the Eagles. If they face this weekend, I'm taking the Eagles. Okay. And I know you bring up, well, who have they faced? They beat Green Bay. That's probably better than any win the Commanders have. Is that fair?
Let me look at. I got to look at both.
Yeah, but outside that game, you would say their second best win is probably the Bengals.
So they beat the Packers week 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's the whole no. It's
week 1. I'm saying that's their best win.
They beat the Packers.
They did, and I would say probably Commanders. Probably the fact that they beat the best win. When you look at the Cardinals, number 1 in the NFC West, and they beat them 42-14.
Okay, so they beat the Packers. They're better. Okay, best. They have the better. Wow. They have the better win, and they're a better team. So that's why I'm leaning Eagles. They're a better team. They have the better win. Biggest win, I think, between the two teams, Eagles beating the Packers. I mean, facts. Okay, that's how it is. So they're 5-4 Baltimore Ravens. They're remaining in the 4th spot. Ravens, tough loss to the Browns. They bounce back. They absolutely beat the brakes off of Bo Nix. I should have known better. I picked the Broncos to cover. I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm an idiot. Ravens are a damn good team. Bills 3, Chiefs 2, Lions 1. Nothing really changes there because that's been the top 3 last week. So that's my top 10 list. Deal with it. All right, deal with it.
I'll go next then. We'll save the rebuttals or whatever we have to say just because it'll flow with the list. I think the only real issue I have is covered on my list. If you want to pull it up.
Oh, wow, the Chiefs too. Okay, Klotzy.
They were last week, Boom. Remember, it full circle. I told you they'd be climbing back up in the trade with D-Hop, and you saw it this week. But starting it off, I think we all have the same top 10s, or we're going to have very similar. We haven't seen Boone. Just a couple reorders. Number 10, for all the reasons you said, Hefe, the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Atlanta Falcons, I picked them going into the season to win the division. Then I saw the Buccaneers, how they were playing, and I was like, the Bucs are going to do it. But the Atlanta Falcons are going to win the NFC South. Should have stayed with that. Kirk Cousins right now playing very good. I think the real storyline of this Atlanta offense right now, outside of the big names, is Darnell Mooney. The season he is having in the crucial plays he's making in critical situations. He's been a savior for that team. Moving on, number 9. Honestly, when I look back at it, I probably should have put the Steelers in front of the Packers for the plain fact that who did the Pittsburgh Steelers just trade for? Preston Smith, very good player for the Green Bay Packers, just went there for 7. So looking back on it, I would switch those two, but it's a spot. So I'm not going to freak out over it. Both these teams are playing good ball outside of last week for Green Bay. I'm not going to take them outside the top 10, even though they look very bad. I think they're just dealing with a couple of injuries right now. Coming off a bye week, I think they'll be playing a lot better. This is kind of the time last year when Jordan Love and that Green Bay offense really started clicking, and Jeff Iafrate and that defense definitely look a lot better compared to how they did last year. Minnesota Vikings, they won, but to Jeff's point, it was against the Colts, so I'm not going to move them up or down. They're kind of just going to stay in the same spot. Now, going to 5 and 6 with the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Commanders, I understand that The Eagles beat the Packers, but it was definitely a game that was right there. It was close. Week 1, I think when you look at the Eagles, they've been doing a lot of this year. Up and down, up and down. I like what Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio have been doing over the last couple of weeks. But when you just, in my opinion, when you watch the Washington Commanders from week 1 to now, the quarters 1 through 4, they're the more complete football team. They do not have the better roster on paper, but when you watch this team, I think they know what their identity is more. And I think that right now, Jaden Daniels compared to Jalen Hurts over the totality of the season is the better quarterback. And then when you look at like the head coaches, like it's hard to say, like you talk about what makes great teams or good teams at least. Talk about head coach and quarterback. Dan Quinn this year, without a doubt, is better than Nick Sirianni. And I think defensively, again, as a unit, I like what Washington is doing right now. I just think they have a chemistry. They know their identity, and they added Marshawn Lattimore. I think that's a huge move, especially when you have the Eagles with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So I like what the Eagles are doing. I think they're going to be a very good team, but I think the Commanders win this division, and I just think because they know their identity a little bit more and the chemistry there, the culture there is better. Number 4, I really don't have to waste that much time with 4 through 1 because it stays the same. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry are dominant. It's just the reason they're not a top 3 team to me. All the 3 teams in front of them have a better secondary, and even with the Lions with their pass rush struggles. Their pass rush struggles are not nearly the struggles that the Ravens are having in the secondary right now. In the NFL with the pass-happy league and Lamar Jackson inability to hit tight window throws consistently, I think the 3 teams ahead of them, the Bills, Chiefs, and Lions, are all a little bit better as of right now. Could that change? Possibly if they can figure out that defense. But right now, I think the 3 teams in front of them, with the Bills adding Amari Cooper, they were still able to win in I don't know if it was, I think it was in Miami. But Tyreek Hill, Tua back, was pretty much a healthy Miami offense, and they were still able to pull out the W without Amari Cooper. He's going to be coming back this week. So the Bills are going to be top 3 team the rest of the year. Booner, you were spot on about that through this whole offseason and regular season. And then 2-1, the Chiefs and Lions. I don't really have to waste much time. The Chiefs, you saw what DeAndre Hopkins did, the impact that he finally gives Patrick Mahomes to have a true playmaker, helps open Travis Kelce so he can return back to original form. I know he had the fumble. We just watch him. He's able to get the ball more because there's somebody that's able to push that defense vertical and space it out. Number 1, the Detroit Lions, fellas. Don't have to waste much time on it. The best team in football right now. You can't even deny it. I don't see a way that you say that the Kansas City Chiefs are playing better than the Detroit Lions right now. So that's my top 10, fellas.
Great. I love it. Disagree with the Commanders. I want to get Boone's list, and then we can have this conversation.
Yeah.
You guys.
I mean, the Commanders conversation, I mean, at this point, you just all right.
No, you're just completely wrong. But break down your list and then
completely wrong. I mean,
you missed
this is as you would say when I'm trying to go at you about an argument. This is my opinion. This is an opinion based.
No.
That's no to win an argument versus me. That's what you. This is my opinion, so I can have my. All right, and let me get solo so I can give the correct list here. I think we all have basically the most identical list. I'm going to be completely honest. The only difference is I think I have the Steelers at 8 and the Commanders at 5 compared to Jeff. So I'm not going to go all the way around this list and talk around. You guys already heard about the Falcons. You guys heard about the Packers. The Steelers, they didn't play this week. I see Spenny in the chat saying over the Vikings. I don't hate that either. Like, I would put the Steelers at 7. They just didn't play this week. I had them at 10 last week, and I moved them up over a couple teams at 8. So I still moved them up without playing. I agree with what I did say. The Vikings are frauds last week, so I'm on that train. They did win, so I had them at like 6 last week. I think I moved them down a little bit. Maybe I should have had them above. The Commanders Eagles thing. This is a disrespect type of situation. This is where people are trying to be smarter than what they're actually seeing. Like, they're trying to be smarter than the real room. Like, I just want to be that guy. Like, just let me be that guy. The Washington Commanders, Jeff, they have the 3rd best offense in the entire NFL. That's not just points per game. That's yards per game. And then, all right, let's talk defense and them versus the Eagles. All right, do the Eagles have a better defense? Guys, the Eagles have the 10th best defense in the NFL. Guess what? The Commanders have the 12th, and they just added Marshawn Lattimore. Dan Quinn has this team absolutely, like, I would take them versus every team besides maybe the Chiefs and the Lions, and I would say they have a chance to win that football game. I wouldn't say guarantee versus like the Ravens because they already lost to the Ravens, but they're going to be in the game. Like, this is a good football team. So the people in the chat saying they shouldn't be top 5 and all, like, what are we doing here? Like, hey, grow up. Watch some football, huh? I bet you none of you guys actually watched the Commanders game this year. You're over there trying to talk about them right now, Jeff. How many Commanders games have you watched over Caleb Williams? 0. That was the only game. All right? Give me the Commanders. They've been consistent all year. They're a top 3 offense. They almost have a top 10 defense, and they just added Marshawn Lattimore. They're playing really good football. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see something. They lost to the Bucs week 1, and then they turned this thing around and lost 1 game versus the 3rd best team on your power rankings, and they've taken care of business the whole other every other week.
Oh, okay.
What? They haven't taken care of business? They won on a Hail Mary? Oh, they won on a Hail Mary? Guess what? Yeah. They still won the football game. All that matters. All that matters.
Spectacular offense.
All that matters. I mean, they have a W in the win column. It's the NFL. It's a 1-possession game. If you find a way to win it, you can't take it away from them. Yeah. So sit down on the high horse.
This Eagles team was a minute 30 away from losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars at home with no Christian.
Thank you, Klotz.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, you can't do that.
We are going to do that because you're doing that. You're doing that. The Eagles, timeout. 30-second timeout. The Eagles, 1-possession game versus the Packers in Brazil. If they were in Green Bay, they would have lost that game. The New Orleans Saints, 15-12. Almost lost to the 1-7 or 2-7 New Orleans Saints. Oh, let's go down. The Cleveland Browns, the 2-7 Cleveland Browns, 20-16. Good thing they were playing at home, or they probably would have lost in Cleveland. Oh, let's keep going down. The Jacksonville Jaguars in Philly, 28-23. Like Klotz said, a minute away from losing. Buddy, they have barely won these games. They are absolutely. If you want to talk about,
you just contradicted yourself.
If you want to, I know I'm using your argument against you.
No. You just.
If you want to talk about the Commanders, if you want to talk about the one Hail Mary, if you want to talk about the one Hail Mary, let's go look at every single game that they won by 1 possession and should have lost, huh? We can do the same thing. If you're going to bring up the one Hail Mary, I'll bring up all those games with Klotzy. I'll do the same thing, buddy. Nothing. Exactly. Nothing.
Let me get my rebuttal, and then you can answer.
All right, Klotzy.
So this is my thing. Why it's not the same. The Washington Commanders have a rookie quarterback and are still playing this way. The Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of these guys have been together. They still have Nick Sirianni. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl, and yet they're still having these games and these ebbs and flows. 2 new coordinators. I understand. Washington has 2 new coordinators, a new head coach, and you're still looking this way. I don't understand. With Saquon Barkley, who's playing amazing, good team, but in my opinion, if you're going to compare these close wins, it makes the Eagles look worse because they're the more experienced team and have not consistently looked like it against inferior opponents. The Washington Commanders, experience-wise, with the quarterback, yeah, they're going to have those games, but they're still managing to win. With the Eagles, I think there's way less of an excuse to say because this is a team that is full of veterans, full of guys that have been there. They added Saquon Barkley to what's already a top 5 offense. This defense has not moved an inch, really. They've honestly looked worse in the secondary with Vic Fangio, who's one of the better defensive coordinators in the league. So when you look at the talent and the way that these teams are playing, that's why I don't think it's easy to say that. But now your rebuttal, Hefe.
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm going to mute myself.
Thank God. So here's the thing. All right.
Hey, don't try and yell over me again.
He never muted himself either.
I mean, I got 2 minutes left. Can I get a rebuttal? I mean, holy fuck. Can I talk? I mean, Jesus. You mentioned, you never watched the game. Okay, like, that's fine. That's a great comeback. Now, here's the thing we have to discuss with these 2 rosters, okay? The Eagles are a better team. They have better players. That's like already a side point. Now, if you want to bring up some of these games, like Booner said, all that matters is wins and losses. So we're not going to bring up how close these games are. All right, if you want to disregard my Hail Mary point, fine. But we're going to give the Eagles credit for winning these games. Like Saquon Barkley's playing like the best running back in the NFL right now. They have the best, they have a top 2, top 3 offensive line in the league. They have better skill position players. Like, I think right now, you're going to find out in 2 weeks, they're going to match up. I'm picking the Eagles. And not only that, guess who the Commanders play this weekend? The Steelers. You picking the Commanders against the Steelers? I highly doubt it.
I just might.
I highly doubt it. The Steelers are going to beat the Commanders. Like, they're a good team. But, like, I think they're getting, like, Booner's like, I'd give them a chance against they already lost to the Ravens. Like, no, I would pick the Ravens every time. Like, I like, the whole chance thing's cute. But when you're talking about the Commanders this year, they're a good team. To me, that's overperforming. Like, they're going to come back down to earth and they could win their division, or the Eagles are going to beat them, just like I expect them to, and win the division. Like, I think the Commanders are a solid, 11-6 team. Like, that's what I see them as, 11-6. Like, this ain't no 13-4 team, dude. Like, no. Like, they're just not. So that's where I'm
They're
at.
probably going to have it. They're going to win the division. I think they win that division.
Well, that's fair. That's your take. That was your take before the season. You think they'll win the division?
So that's why it's like I think they've been a better team.
I think Philly has, compared to the two teams at their best, I'm taking Philly. Now, what team are we going to get? But like ceiling wise, I know Tyler put it in there. I completely agree with him. I think if they squared off in Washington, in Philly, does not matter. I'm taking the Eagles.
I disagree. I would take the Commanders in Washington. We could break bread on this, okay? The Eagles, they do have a better roster top to bottom. So if you want to look at it like that and be like, well, Saquon and this player and this player and this player and this player, we can agree with that. Power rankings, though, Commanders are playing better football. Whether there's they're both playing one possession games at times. Like if you want to hit them for that Ravens loss, and you're like 10 out of 10 times, I would take the Ravens. Dude, it was like 20-27 in the fourth quarter. Like it was a one possession game.
But you said all that matters, wins and losses.
I agree with that, but you're saying 10 out of 10 times you would take the Commanders when they were, or you would take the Eagles when the Commanders literally were in that game until the last minute. So it's like, yeah, we'll talk about wins, losses, but like, let's be a little realistic here. Like 10 out of 10 times, dude. Like they were. It was,
if you're mad about that, then
I'm not mad. No, listen, we're having the conversation. So like, let's. We're in a little bit of a debate right now. So wording matters. Me and you have had this conversation a lot. Wording matters. If you're gonna say 10 out of 10 times, it was a one possession game, and they were in a battle in the fourth quarter to win the game, and they ended up dropping it. It wasn't like they got blown out by the Ravens, and the Ravens were that much of a better team. It was a really good football game, and they battled. And the Ravens came out on top. That's why the Ravens are third in the power rankings, and the Commanders should be 5.
So if you're going to give the Commanders credit for a close loss, I'm going to give the Eagles credit for close wins. Like that's how we're going to do that.
No, because you're saying that different argument.
You contradict yourself again. Like what are we doing? Here?
Not again. You were the last one to contradict yourself.
You just said earlier that wins and losses matter, and then you brought up how the Eagles have barely won.
I brought up the one possession wins because you brought up the Bears win. That was the only reason I brought it up. That was it. I countered you. You tried to hit me with the right hook, and I dodged, left hook, knocked you out. That was what happened. That was it. It was as simple as that. All right, it's 10:02. Let's end the show. I win. You lose.
All right.
Did all you guys have the Bills at 3?
Yeah, we all do.
And by the way, real quick before we end, Mike.
I personally, if I was making the list, I would have the Eagles at 5. So I don't.
Of course.
Honestly, I'm just. Hey,
I knew he was doing that the whole time.
Booner. I am honestly just surprised that all you guys had the Bills at 3 when the Ravens fucking destroyed the Bills, and the Bills have played two good teams, being the Texans and the Ravens, and they lost both of them. Derrick Henry ran for 200 yards, 2 TDs. It was 35-10.
That's actually not a bad
point. The Ravens are. Hey, if that matchup ever happens again, the Ravens are so much better than the Bills. They're not stopping Derrick Henry. Texans and the Ravens, both playoff teams that the Bills faced, they lost.
He's in his bag.
All right, Michael.
That's my only dispute about that. The Bills are not in the top 3 in the league. But other than that, I mean, the Eagles Commanders things, I think you guys all made great points.
Yeah, one spot at the end of the day.
Yeah. But I would have the Ravens above the Bills.
All right, we can keep. Go ahead. Sorry,
we don't have enough time. But
we keep the show going. We're in overtime right now. Go ahead, Klotz.
For years and years and years since they both entered the league, who has been the best quarterback and actually won playoff games?
We're not in the way.
Yeah, well, we're saying, Gentry just said if these teams were to face off in the playoffs again, the Ravens would kill them. They wouldn't be able to. And the other thing is,
but hey, they haven't had Derrick Henry in the playoffs yet. It doesn't matter if you're playing in Baltimore or in Buffalo. Derrick Henry's playing in the cold, and good luck on the Bills trying to tackle Derrick Henry in the cold. They couldn't even do it in the warmth. He ran for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
So the Ravens have Derrick Henry, but they've also had a fucking defense. And when you add the Bills, who when they played the first time did not have Amari Cooper, I'm pretty sure Khalil Shakir was out, and James Cook was not healthy. And then they're down. What the fuck do you expect them to do now that you add Amari Cooper, what division has he been playing in?
James Cook had 40 yards. They stopped giving him the ball in that game.
I think he was hurt.
Wasn't doing anything.
James Cook was hurt, and they got down.
That was the game he got hurt.
Run the ball.
Shakir had 62 yards.
But if you watch that Ravens defense, and you're like, this is a top 3 team in football. Give me pass me the pipe next. Pass me the pipe.
That top
next.
3 defense held the Bills to 10 points.
Did you not hear anything I just said, Hunk?
Just saying.
Hey, Hunk. Hey,
the
law's been laid.
Insert
I'm just gonna say this.
Insert Amari Cooper. I don't think they're still winning that game.
I'm gonna say that you guys
And
can
I'll
keep
say
having
that.
your
Like,
opinions.
Amari
on the
Cooper will
Bills.
make a difference moving forward for them, but I still think they're losing to the Ravens.
Keep having your
But I
opinions on
do-
the Bills. You eventually are gonna get proven wrong once again.
What, they lose in a divisional round?
I was told that they were going to be the last in their division or third in their division.
We're
by
over
all
that.
of you.
We admitted we were.
No,
wrong.
I know, but I'm just saying we're going to some Bills opinions here.
So
a lot of
you're
people
gonna
have been
bring that
wrong.
up every time we talk Bills.
A lot of people have been wrong about the Buffalo Bills, and they continue to prove people wrong. Klotz, yeah, I appreciate you a ton. Hey, that's why you're my CPO, hopping on the bandwagon there. Hey, you know what good football looks like over there, Klotz, with Josh Allen. I appreciate people who appreciate greatness.
Complementary football is going on in Buffalo. Can't say
and
the same in Baltimore.
Wait until those guys start to get Amari Cooper into that offense for real. Things are going to be a problem. And guys aren't hurt and are healthy. That's going to be a problem. I'm just going to say that.
See Ray Davis? 7-yard tutty last week.
Hey, I'm just saying this
Let
team,
that
top
man
to
get
bottom, is really good.
You might be on the Klotz watch week 12.
I'm with the Klotz. Hey, in the playoffs, one team's won playoff games, the other hasn't. You're probably taking the team
with the defense too.
Oh, shout out Spammo. She's Steelers top 5.
Whoa!
Hey, Spenny, I'll make you a deal. When they beat the Commanders this weekend, they'll be top 5. I'll make sure of it. Yeah,
lock that in then.
They'll be top 5 when they let's see what the Eagles do. Top 5 or 6, but they'll be higher for sure because they're going to beat the Commanders, and we're going to have this conversation, and everyone's going to say, "Oh man, but they play hard." But we're going to have this conversation.
The Steelers bring the boom.
Saying they play hard. The Pittsburgh Steelers is like the most contradictory thing you could say. Oh, they have
You're talking about them like they're the Pistons. They play hard.
They play very hard, man. They're extremely well coached.
All right, hey, we'll get out of here.
Don't know where I was
Appreciate you
going
guys.
with that one.
Shout out to Doc joining the program, holding it down for the fellas. Appreciate you. Hey, shout out Easy Spenny for joining the show, hanging out with the fellas as well. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We got a Houston Texans beat writer coming on, Cole Thompson. He's going to be great. He's going to have great opinions. Give us some insight to kind of the injury report this weekend. But until then, get your merchandise.
Can we get a boom?
Stuff is on the website. So go get it. Merchandise. Do it all.
Boom!
You just made him do it by your. That's fun.
I love that.
All right,
funny.
get your merch.
Love you guys, man.